soft in your old age.
That's actually really good.
I tried so hard not to laugh. It just verges into Morgan Freeman almost.
Well,
Andy Dufresne was getting soft in Shawshank Prison.
Oh, we all.
Get busy living or get busy having neck tubes like Cad Bane. I don't know.
Oh my gosh! Welcome
Oh,
back,
boy.
Force family. Welcome back
Yeah.
to our show, Star Wars Guys. As always, we are your hosts, myself, Nate, Mike, and you know him well, Uncle or Mandalorian.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. That's right. We got always the
I
Star
don't
Wars
have a-
shirts.
I don't have a Boba Fett shirt.
Data Fett.
Fett.
That is good. I
Papa
like
Fett?
that. Papa
Ooh.
Fett.
I
Yeah.
have one of those.
Oh, that's good.
I like it.
The Book of Boba
Soon.
Fett.
Book of Papa Smurf.
Papa the Hut.
There you go.
And
Papa the Hut.
20 seconds, totally off the rails.
Yeah. What is this show about?
Is that a new
The
record?
Smurfs with
20
Morgan
seconds.
Freeman. What
That's
we
it. Yeah.
That's it.
And there
I
was
love
a
it.
final chapter. We might talk about that.
We might touch on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little.
That's your spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the episode already, go watch the episode. No,
The
obviously
finale.
That's
Sorry,
true.
I'm excited.
No, the finale. We're definitely excited. So obviously we're going to be diving in. This will be, I guess, our last Book of Boba Fett review for the time being, unless we
Single
get a
campaign
season
tier.
2 or something. Yeah. Single Rancor tier. No. But yeah, it's been fun doing the Boba Fett weekly episode reviews, chapter reviews. It's been a blast. So, of course, we're excited. We're going to dive into it. And as always, we love to encourage you all who are tuning in, listening, to engage. We want to hear your thoughts as well. So as we go throughout this, feel free to comment, ask questions, or just throw out your thoughts. If we're doing a bet or something that we liked or didn't like, then you can join in on that as well. Let us know what you think. So,
In fact, at the end of this podcast episode, we will be reading and doing a brief discussion over a fan question that we got today regarding Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, yeah.
that's right.
And so we if you stick it out to the end, we can do it at the end or do it at the beginning. We can do whatever we want.
We can do it, okay. Up to you guys.
Whatever we want.
We'll do it at the end.
We'll do it at the end.
We'll do it at the end.
Yeah,
do
we'll
at the
tease
end.
it
You can tell we prepared.
at the end.
All right. Hey, as always,
Yes.
right? May the
Cool.
full speed. No, I'm just kidding.
It's over.
It's over.
Right, that was
No, we've been starting these weekly episodes here with just overall thoughts, overall take on the episode. What do you guys think?
Want me to go first?
Sure.
I really, really enjoyed this finale. I really enjoyed it. Was it perfect? No. I mean, like, I don't know if any Star Wars thing is exactly perfect. There's
Sure.
playful things I like to poke fun at in this episode, but it's not that I didn't like it. I loved this episode. I thought there was so much there.
Yeah.
But there's funny things that we even joke. We were joking
one in
precast
mind.
about, like, there's a few things I'm like, I think that was a Robert Rodriguez little addition there. And no,
No.
there's a couple of things that feel very
Yeah.
much specific to Robert Rodriguez's directing style and taste.
Sure.
Especially some little comedy beats and like editing as far as some of
Yeah.
the pacing and timing of certain things. But man, this was an episode that felt like something that at 8 years old I may have created in the backyard with all of my
Yeah.
toys. Like, well, what if Boba
only we had a Rancor. I never had a Rancor.
never had a
That's
Rancor
true.
either?
You never rode one. Oh,
You never
I'm
rode
the
one?
only one. No, I'm just-
Bet Nate cleaned up on that one, buddy.
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
I-
that was
we got
one
the
of
Grogu, or Grogu, but you cleaned up on the
the Rancor.
right.
Hey. I mean, I thought they kind of threw it on our face at the beginning with that tease, so it was only a matter of time before we saw that coming to play. There were a
That's
lot
great.
of ones I was way off on though too. So
Yeah,
we'll
and
get into it.
We'll
get
discuss
into it.
all that. But
Oh, yeah.
overall thoughts? You heard me, Nate. What are you thinking?
Yeah, go
Oh no,
ahead.
Uncle. Sorry,
Uncle.
let's go.
Well,
Uncle.
yeah,
I was
Uncle.
gonna say I can't think of two television episodes of any of these series that have been more polar. When you think about it, right?
Yeah.
True.
You've got the contemplative, slow master teaching pupil, inward, just thinking about what's best for Grogu, giving gifts, compassion,
Sure.
kindness, all this stuff.
Ahsoka to Mando. Even what are you doing it for you? Or are you doing it for
That's
him?
right, so introspective.
The pacifism of the Jedi.
It's like
it's
Filoni
just
puts
the-
a stamp and goes, "This is mine." And then I looked at it. 17 minutes and 49 seconds. We start the battle of an hour
Yes.
episode. Okay.
Of a nonstop, yeah.
Yeah.
Comedy, action, totally. I mean,
King Kong, all
Yeah.
of it.
King Kong. We got people riding Rancors. We got.
Oh man.
I mean, it was
Man.
It was great. So putting those together, and as I was watching that, I was thinking, you know what? Every episode can't be. Let's put in all the heroes of the universe. Can't do that.
Yeah, because then those moments aren't as special.
They're not as special.
Yeah.
So I love what they did. It was exciting. There was some stuff I was like, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, Star Wars isn't perfect.
Yeah.
Unless it's a memory of Star Wars. Then it's perfect.
Yes, and we've discussed this in some previous podcast
Right.
episodes of you're always competing against whatever your first Star Wars
Yeah.
experience
Exactly.
was, and that's why even of different generations, that's why there's the three of us all saw the original trilogy first and then later saw the prequels and then saw the
Yeah.
sequels.
Right.
There are some people younger than Nate and I who grew up with the prequels. I know a few people who maybe even say like, "Oh, Revenge of the Sith might be my favorite Star Wars of all time,"
Sure.
and they compare it to that because that's the first thing, and then it's actually Star Wars seems aged when they start with that visual effects and
Yeah.
then go back to the 70s and early 80s,
Right.
and it's a different experience. But you're always competing against what your baseline is, and you're always judging history. You're looking back on history with the fond eye of nostalgia of,
That's right.
yeah, this was. I mean, your uncle, especially, you're of the generation that remember that Ewoks were not universally loved as
Yeah.
far as people now will be like,
Come
well,
on, mini Wookiee, Ewok, we get
Yeah.
it. Come on.
oh, the
Ewoks,
Empire's
yeah.
defeated by some teddy bears.
Right.
Like, imagine if Ryan Johnson tried to pull that off now. Of,
Right.
but now it's like, well,
Well, and remember
did
the
something
Mando
else
episode
that's-
with
yeah.
with Jeans guy.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So everybody
It's
pours over
classic.
Everything immediately. You
Yeah.
just watched it 2
Yeah.
a.m. You do it like people do a reaction. There's like it's
There's the
all over.
freeze frame,
all over, yeah.
frame by
I saw Star
frame.
Wars
That's
twice in the same day in 1977. I didn't see it again for like 15 years.
yeah, yeah,
So there's no way I could get picky. I just remember the
Yeah.
feeling of it, right?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
the feeling
absolutely.
of this episode was a blast. It was fun.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like you said, this will be an episode that we look back on. We're like, all we remember is Boba rode a Rancor.
No.
Like, well, that was how the season
And
ended.
how about for how long? Like if
Right.
if we were to make a Boba Bett on the actual Rancor scene, I would have been like, yeah, it's near the very end. Something happens where then to finish off the final
Right.
battle, he comes in with the Rancor. Which there was some of that. There was a lot of stuff before it, but then the Rancor comes in, and then it's like, and now for the next 20 minutes straight, the Rancor will just go crazy.
Jermaine in the chat said Uncle is a little quiet. Maybe it's
Ooh.
Boba. Maybe we can turn it up a little bit.
your old age, Uncle.
I can turn it up.
Thanks for letting us know. Appreciate it. Appreciate
we looked at
J-Man.
that before we started. Which
I
one do you
know.
want, Nate?
it. Not sure.
I'll
just
keep doing Cad Bane
How about that right there? How about that?
Is that a
looks
little better? Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
I think. But
Did
the
you give your
Rancor-
overall?
How about
that?
Overall, yeah. Overall,
There we go.
I mean, I loved it. There's obviously
Let me say everything I said over
yeah. Let's
Yeah.
start over.
because I think
Cut.
No, I'm totally
Run it back.
kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Overall thoughts?
I hated the whole thing.
Wow.
It was the
Wow.
worst.
Now,
Star
you know
Wars-
what? You were so quiet
I'm
before.
just
I
kidding.
thought you said something completely different the
Now
first
I think
time
I'm
around.
too loud. I said, bo 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 bo. That's what I said.
Boba Fett.
And now J-Man's like,
Hilarious.
he's like, can you turn that back down?
Actually, can you turn
Uncle,
it off? Can you turn
it's way, way
can
too
you turn
loud
it- yeah,
now.
keep going.
Now that we
I
can
can.
hear what you have to
It's too
say.
loud because I can still hear it.
Okay, so
Boom. That's
you were
hilarious.
going Rancor.
Yeah,
I was
Sorry.
saying Rancor and how we're like you were saying, the nostalgia, the memories of Star Wars. Even though there are the little funny things that we can pick apart, you know?
We'll talk about some of the goofier things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause,
too. We'll get to them.
in a sense, to me, that is also Star Wars.
Yeah.
It isn't Star Wars without some of those goofy things, without a Jar Jar Binks, right?
Right.
But the Rancor is obviously the thing I feel like we're going to be looking back and thinking the finale with the Rancor, something we hadn't seen before, but a familiar thing, but never seen it like that. We've never
Right.
seen someone ride
Right.
it. Is something we'll look back on. That'll be our memory of this conclusion of the Book of Boba Fett. But one thing I wanted to say was the movement of the Rancor. You kind of touched on it too. Thought we'd see it a little bit, maybe not as much time. I thought we'd see it maybe plowing through and scraping people. He was climbing buildings, King Kong,
Right.
grabbing. It was insane.
It was awesome.
Just launching people.
It
And
was
how many hits can he take? Talk about taking damage.
taking damage.
against the droid. This was Godzilla versus Kong.
It was.
It
Yeah,
was
it really
two
was.
giant kaiju, two giant monsters fighting each other while everyone else is like,
I know. Pulling
Amy
the arms up.
Sedaris's teeth are falling out over off to the side.
Right.
And everyone else is watching.
Like Mecha
hey,
Godzilla.
kid! Watch out, kid! Hey, kid, where'd you go? It's just hilarious. Hilarious.
Just
I
crazy.
do.
just
I
awesome.
do like how. I mean, we talked about how they set the. Beasts can feel such things. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They continually make Rancor's like this big beast, but it's like a little puppy.
Yeah.
It just
yeah.
has the heart of a little.
Yeah.
It'll tear your arms
It's
off.
got the
but
rough
inside,
exterior, yeah.
Right.
It's a little tiny little.
Grogu puts it,
Fragile little
sends it to
heart.
bed.
Right.
And then takes a nice nap
He
next to it.
takes a
Right.
nap next to it.
No,
Gosh.
one thing about the Rancor too that I loved, absolutely loved about this episode, the fact that Mando couldn't ride it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then it just
That would've ruined
highlighted the I guess the strength of Boba and the connection he had with the Rancor, his ability to have ride beasts 10 times this size in
Right.
the past.
And
So it
the
was showing
connection
that
of it being
connection.
the first. Remember when they revealed its
Exactly.
eyes and Danny Trejo was
Connection.
talking about it?
Yeah.
It's
Beasts
more than
can
just
feel
the
such
chain
things.
that
Right.
is control. There's also
Yes.
Mando
connection
thinks,
there.
oh, he did it. I can just fly in.
Mando
grab
didn't
the
last
reins
5
and-
seconds on
Right.
him. Threw him off.
Tried to bite his head off. So I mean, I thought that was to me was like a touch. And I was like, oh, I love the fact that
Yeah.
couldn't do it. It just
Right.
adds more credibility to Boba.
Boba's thing. Man.
Yeah, it was cool.
I love it.
Cool.
One of the other, and there's a bunch here, but one of the other big highlights of not only this final chapter, but the season, man, I just love, it's bittersweet because I thought it was great for story, but it's sad seeing Cad Bane
Oh,
go
No.
because you're like,
Yeah,
I refuse.
it's, what a, just, first
what
of
a
all,
great character.
all three of us as being big fans of the Clone Wars animated series,
Yeah,
we've been saying even when we were making our Boba Betts, who are possible characters that could end up here in this show, and we're like, I
Yeah.
think one of us even said, I don't know if he shows up in this show, but if he ever was to show up in live action, this feels like Cad
This would
Bane
be it.
fits
man,
for
yeah,
this.
Sure.
And then, of course, when they set it up in Bad Batch too, they were laying the groundwork
Yeah.
of
Fennec and the
Fennec
connection
having
and-
some history, and we didn't really know where
Right.
that was going to lead, but seeing him be brought to life live action and then just be just absolutely terrifying. I saw so
Oh my
many things
gosh.
online of people going like, "Well, I've never been so terrified of a Star Wars character since Darth Vader."
I
Because
know.
they're like,
I saw
that's
that
just
too.
the way, the deep voice, the scowl, the sharpened teeth,
the confidence
the
of not, like,
classic, everything about it too was just
and
to a
no,
T classic.
Not a force user.
Yeah.
It's a different kind
It's
of a
classic
it's a cool-
Western.
mhm.
Yeah, without the Force, just having this aura of like, you can't touch me.
Right.
And
even the Rancor he goes up against is just like
he
fire.
walks straight up to it, and you're like, what's he doing? And just he
Fire.
knows the fires.
Can I make an early bet?
Oh, about what's gonna happen in the finale?
No.
I've got something to tell you. Oh, no.
It's a bet. It's a heart bet.
Oh,
Cad Bane is not gone.
Gone.
not gone.
What's the first
No one's
rule of
ever
Star
really
Wars?
gone.
No one's ever really gone.
Yeah.
The light was still beeping,
Yeah, I saw that.
blinking. No blood.
No
Yeah.
blood.
I mean, Fennec Shan took a gut shot. They rebuilt her as a mod. I'll bet you
They
that Cad
teased-
Bane is already partly
Yeah,
mod.
and they teased the mods throughout this whole
The
whole
he's not
season,
gone.
and Cobb Vanth too. They
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, by the way, he's alive." So everyone's like, "Well, why can't Cad Bane?"
They
be alive?"
walked off.
Yeah.
He's not.
Maul got cut in half, and then
Yeah.
got
After that,
spider
anything's
legs.
fair game.
Right.
Dark Witches revived him. Anything
Yeah.
can happen with.
There's
Cad Bane.
no way that
He's
could
just
be the end
so-
of Cad Bane. It's too good.
And the
Yeah.
great thing about Cad Bane is that if they go back into different time periods, Cad Bane, if you go by the Cad Bane's like 70
Right. He's
by
old man.
this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they even make references about it. You're an old man. I'm still
Right.
faster than
Whatever
you.
his
I'm still
speech-
quicker
right.
than you. And
Right.
Yeah.
so he could show up in a number of different
Right.
places, live
Yeah.
action, or a continuation of this, whether it's a spin-off type of a thing or a show. But I don't think it's the last we'll ever see of Cad Bane live action, whether it's from this time period moving forward or
I
going back,
agree.
just
Yeah.
because I
That's
think it
my
was
bet.
a home
Yeah.
run as far as
I agree.
the way they were able to. Everything was classic Western. This, I will say, that's a bigger theme of this episode too, of just the way things were shot. I know you've seen a lot of Westerns too. There was a
Yeah.
lot of practical things of like the people falling out of the windowsill and
Yeah.
landing
Right.
into the bucket of
Yeah.
water. It was classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could cut away and just show him get shot.
Right.
Instead, it's
in the
shot,
water.
music stops, he falls over the railing.
And the one where Boba and Mando continue to hit him on the way down.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Just love it. Love
pulling
Cad Bane.
pulling the cape aside to reveal the side.
show.
arm.
Yeah, that's right.
It's great.
Throwing
Boba
the
has
cape back around when he
I
turns
will
around.
say, when it comes to the weapons, Boba has a tougher draw because that weapon's just too big.
Man, right.
Too big. You
Oh,
gotta.
Right.
You find out that you're dealing with quick-handed Cad Bane,
Can't do it.
and Boba's tell of whether or not he's going to fire or not is he just puts his hand on top, and they're like, all right, he's relaxing, and then when he takes it off, and then he's like,
Ooh.
it's
too
you
late.
don't have great chance there. But
I know.
Not as quick.
Yeah, going
Yeah.
off of your Cad Bane thing too. I think it was. Give credit here. I think it was Alex Explain or Star Wars Explain. Alex from Star Wars Explain.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
Alex Damon.
Yeah, I think I was watching some of their stuff earlier.
There are
today,
other
too.
people that talk about Star Wars on the internet.
They're the only ones. There's nobody else.
I didn't know there were
We're
other
the only
people
ones.
that-
We are
I
the
mean,
only
they like
ones.
talk about it like online.
I know.
They talk
shows
about
and
it
stuff?
online,
I thought we
but
came up with that
in fairness, because I do appreciate their effort. We're the only ones who have built an empire.
Yes.
No. Yes. No, but
Totally
I
kidding. Our
Star Wars
181
guys,
subscribers,
Yeah.
who we all love.
Love him. I saw he was kind of put it in a way that was like, I think they did it intentionally so that he's dead until someone
Till they
decides
need
to
him.
write a story about him
Yeah.
to come back. So I thought that's pretty spot on. That's kind of how I thought too. I was like, oh, he's dead, but is he?
So is this
He
a
could
new
come back.
thing? Because when the Emperor got thrown down the shaft, everybody got mad when he came back. It doesn't seem right.
Now it's
How come
everyone
Cad
hopes
Bane
Now
he's
just died
everyone's
like,
begging
oh,
he comes
please don't
back.
be dead. The Emperor's like,
Mace
no,
Windu.
that's not right.
Mace Windu.
that
Please
is
don't be
gone.
retconning.
That
Come
is
on.
that's such a great point
The
because
most
every
powerful being
single
in the universe. No way. He can't come back. Why
Most
not?
powerful being, no way.
can't
Cad Bane
come back.
Gets stabbed in the chest. He's not dead.
just with a full-on spear, you hear the crunch, everything.
He's not
You
dead.
literally hear the breath coming out.
J.J. Abrams is evil. The Emperor was dead.
J.J. Abrams is evil.
And that is funny though because it is the entire discourse over this whole show as far as people dying and
Oh,
everything. Even going back to the tragedy of the Tuscans, which we did too. They didn't show a couple of like one of the big things was is the warrior Tuscan, like the female Tuscan, still alive because they didn't
Oh,
show that she
true.
was dead. And it's funny though that
thought about
everyone
that.
is like they're just in a pile on fire of the bodies.
Like they didn't show her though.
But they were like, but we didn't see the face, so they could be. I think they're alive. Emperor just goes but this is the most powerful Force user we've ever seen,
Right.
and he fell.
Harnesses lightning.
What he died by falling out of frame,
Right.
and that was
Yeah,
what
right.
killed him.
He fell the same place Luke did.
Right.
And in
Episode
fairness,
before and lived.
Right.
Yeah, in
That's
fairness,
true.
I do understand how it could be taken because when he falls, all of a sudden a big green light
A
and
big
stuff
green light comes up,
and
there's
you're
a
like, well, that
whoosh.
feels like maybe something happened or a gas was released
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, I get it.
But a number of characters that's happened to, even in this show, Cobb Vanth gets shot, and
Yeah,
all of us
chest.
are like, I think he's alive.
be
They
alive.
did show him get shot, and then
Yeah.
even in the beginning of this episode, I was thinking, is he alive? And then then Freetown comes in. The people of Freetown, the bartender said he's like hunted him down in cold blood, and I'm like, oh dang, is he dead?
Maybe he is dead.
And then of course in the post credit scene we
Post-credit.
get the reveal that he's alive.
Yeah.
But if Cobb Vanth can be alive, why can't?
the day people
Kevin?
start asking for Count Dooku to come back is the day I know there's everything's on the table.
Bring back Christopher Lee.
He's not dead. You can put that right,
Right.
pop that head
That's
right
it.
back on there and suture that on, and
We got
it's cauterized. Put
we
it
got
right on.
Frank
That's
and
right.
Dooku over there.
Frank and
it's Dooku, but he's got the bolts out of his neck.
Oh my
Classic.
gosh.
The bride of Dooku.
It's Dooku.
Dooku, yeah.
Ooh.
Dooku. One more thing on the Cad Bane thing before we move on,
Yeah.
because I loved the way they handled his character, but I love the way that his character in the showdowns with Boba served the character of Boba and gave credibility to everything the story
Yes.
has been telling, all the way back to his time
Yeah.
with the Tuskens.
Yeah.
We've heard this criticism. We've talked about it on here.
It was
before.
the full circle message of
Full
Boba's
circle.
story.
We've heard this criticism before, and we've discussed it on here, of some people saying, and they keep addressing it, even Cad says it, you've gone soft in your old age.
Right.
Like everyone's like, oh, this is not the same Boba we remember from Empire. Which I will say that in this episode, I think we see a lot of that same Boba as far as from the ruthlessness of the fighting and things.
Right.
But he's also grown and evolved and matured and learned lessons because of his time with the Tuskens and because of his fall from grace of, okay, I've been betrayed by all these people that I've served. We've gone over this a bunch, but I've been betrayed by all these people that I've served, led to me falling into the Sarlacc, essentially on the brink of death, revived and learned from the Tuskens. But if Boba then learns nothing and comes back and fights Cad Bane in this moment, and he's just the Boba Fett of old, Cad Bane kills him. Because it's only because he has the gaffy stick and the training that he learned from the Tusken, especially the Tusken warrior who was helping him, that Cad beats him on the draw just like he knew he would. Then Boba tries to recover. He beats him again. And then when he comes over, he surprises him, and it's the staff that ends up knocking him out and finishing him right when Cad's standing over him about to finish and tell him, this is your last, I guess this is your final lesson. And he's like, anything else, look out for yourself. Essentially, look out for yourself. Everything else is just weakness. And Boba said, all the way back in that campfire scene with
Fennec.
They didn't make me weak. They made me strong. Right. Because I learned they're stronger together. The whole theme of this show, or one of the big themes, has been stronger with the tribe, stronger together. Right. He doesn't survive this without Mando. Mando doesn't survive this without Grogu. None of them survive this without Fennec, who may be the MVP of the whole show.
Gosh.
All the things she's done.
We'll get to that,
Right. And even those goofy, colorful mods.
The
goofy mods and their Robert Rodriguez spin shoot pose type of a thing.
Too.
They all served their purpose without Santo, Chrysanthemum.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, poor Gamorreans, though, who squealed their way out
of existence.
They squealed their way into eternity. But the way that
they're probably not dead, though.
The way that all served a purpose and came, he's not dead. I
saw something online. They're not dead.
Not dead.
I heard someone go, I didn't hear a thud. Like, is that really what we were missing from this episode? Was I liked the episode, but when that bacon hit the ground, I wanted to hear more of a thud and just hear it start sizzling over an open fire.
The exact quote was,
I want to see.
They're not dead, and somebody else wrote, yeah, when pigs fly. So that's a Norm joke. Hey, when pigs fly.
And then everyone goes, and they're like, well, anyway.
Yeah, it was funny in my head.
No, Joe said Cad Bane, more like Sad Bane.
Sad Bane. I saw some good Cobb Vanth, Mod Vanth.
Mod Vanth.
Mod Vanth.
Vincent also in the chat saying, even though I didn't want Cad Bane to die quite yet, I'm glad Boba used his spear with the Tuskens. Yeah.
That's what we exactly what we're saying. Who said that? Vincent? That's a great point. That's what we were saying. It's like it was a bittersweet of, I think it was perfect for the story. I'm only sad as a fan if that's the last we get of him, but I think that we'll get more in some storytelling and
I was gonna
possibly
elaborate.
more in Bad Batch.
I was going to elaborate on your Boba Fett thing about
what Boba Fett thing. I've just been rambling.
That was pretty generic.
The
specific about Boba Fett's growing as a person.
Yeah.
I believe that a lot of times we think we want a certain thing, but if we get that thing, it's not really what we want.
Mm-hmm.
Boba Fett was mysterious, but he was one-dimensional. He was a bounty hunter who worked for the Empire and went out and killed people for money.
That was it.
That first episode would be killer. But by the fourth chapter, we'd be like, isn't he going to...
Does he ever talk?
Does he do anything?
Yeah.
So we need to have some kind of an evolution of the character, some kind of purpose, some kind of goal. And Mando is all about humanizing, making him more human, more emotional. Yeah. Boba Fett's about making him more dependent.
Yeah.
Less Solo, more dependent on other people.
Yeah.
Solo, I like that. You can't go Boba without Solo, which we'll address that later too, because they did
no memory of anything.
They did not go Solo.
I have no memory of that.
Oh,
but that's the path that Boba Fett is on, right? Becoming more dependent, less independent. Mando's becoming more emotional, less.
Yeah, no,
robotic.
I agree. Yeah. I think the fight too you were talking about, just seeing it come full circle of his skills, the stuff he learned, not just that he's stronger as a tribe, but physical fighting abilities too. He's grown to more than just a gunslinger, more than just using his guns and his armor to protect himself. Now he's using the stick, and I love that the first time he sees Cad Bane in the episode, he calls him out and actually taunts him with the reference to his tribe dying.
Yeah.
But
Cad Bane, man,
then
that was
when-
just so
yeah,
classic.
As
That
soon
was
as he
ruthless.
found that out from the
Cold-blooded.
Pikes, he's like, I'm going to use that.
I
yeah.
think I got some.
But then Boba goes back to get the Rancor, comes back, and he's got the Tusken stick. Right? He didn't have it initially, but after hearing the conversation about that,
I didn't know.
he goes, gets a Rancor, comes back with the stick,
the
and then
gaffy
defeats
stick
him
and-
with the Tusken stick. So
Man.
I love just even
Poetic.
the little, again, as Clone Wars fans, and I know there's a lot of stuff even regarding some of the unfinished Clone Wars episodes, run-ins with Cad Bane and Boba, and them having history. But I like them specifically addressing and Boba saying like, "I'm not a little boy anymore," and talking to him, and
yeah.
them having history and him talking about you're a cold-blooded killer and doing and this.
Right.
Well, isn't that the what's the line of this the something calling the something's
Oh, man, that was
slimy,
great.
and you're like, oh, there's such a classic
I do want
nonsensical
up. Right.
phrase that just sounded like
Very
it's, like,
Star
it's
Wars.
the pot
Yeah.
calling the kettle
So
black.
getting the scud pie or
It's
whatever.
good, yeah. It was even a
Exactly like
different
that.
one, and
So
but
great.
it's because these are two killers. Boba's a killer.
Yeah.
And they show it at the end, but the difference is what he's learned along the way, and that
Yeah.
he still has this tragedy and trauma and even this rage inside him. They keep tapping into that when the rage kicks in, and they always show him the same way of like raising up
Right.
his stick and like the
Yeah.
face gritting teeth, and he even had that when he finished him. But that
Right.
was like that, not necessarily to say a necessary rage, but it was a necessary moment of this is not someone that I'm just going to, well, maybe we'll just take you prisoner, and then they're
Right.
trying to murder all of his friends. They're
Right.
trying to take
They,
out
and they
the
already
city.
killed his Tusken
They've
tribe.
already killed
Right.
out his Tusken
Mhm.
tribe, and now he's throwing it in his face. This is someone who has to be stopped, and I
they-
just love that.
Have you
Yeah.
got they put up? They have some deleted scenes up on. Did you see these yet?
No,
No.
they've already
There's
got deleted scenes
a-
up.
Yeah. After that, they cut it out. Boba Fett goes. They cut that from
Is that around the same time?
from the chapter. It's not on there.
Is that in there with the Tusken face reveal too?
The
of
Tusken female face reveal.
He pulls Cad Bane's mask off, and it's a Tusken. No,
It's her. You betrayed me.
could you die if Robert Reagan put it?
You're saying they take off Cad Bane's face, which doesn't even have a mask.
Doesn't even have a mask.
They peel off his face, Hannibal Lecter style, and beneath it is the Tusken with the headdress, the warrior who taught him everything. And that for some reason
like,
turned on him, and also forgot the move. Forgot all the moves that Boba has learned from her.
her.
Yeah, it's
And
great.
then at
I love
touching moment, she speaks to him and says, he's like, I know.
Boba goes, you spit on my armor. He just wipes it off.
There are
Oh,
no
gosh.
deleted scenes.
Everybody
Everybody left. Like it dropped
So
out of two
I'm like,
people
where's that?
podcast. Everybody's like, deleted scenes. You gotta see
Get me outta
Boba
here.
doing that chant thing.
Oh my god,
so good.
I am dying. That is hilarious.
There's
Yeah.
do you want to keep going with some of our highlights, or do we want to?
Yeah, before we do that, to finish this, J-Man Joe in the chat said, his death scene had very Solo vibes with the shootout.
Yeah.
Watch out for yourself. Don't trust anybody.
I was gonna say that was almost
Shoot
word for
first,
word
yeah, yeah.
Tobias Beckett there.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It was very
That was.
Solo-esque. Yeah.
No, I love that. I love there was a lot of this. There was a lot of the show in general that had the Solo vibe. Going back to even just the train. You had the train heist scene in Solo.
Right.
With
True.
the
Yeah,
Marauders
yeah.
and Emphas Nest and
yeah.
everything, and then you had the train and the Pikes and
Right.
that
Yeah.
whole spice scene with the Tuskens and everything.
Mhm.
Tuskens of the Dune Sea.
Very like Enfys Nest kind of.
Yeah. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, we talked on. Emphas Nest could get some future
Man.
love and some show. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's a great character. But
Yeah.
who knows? They might be
did-
venturing off of Tatooine after
We
a
didn't
couple
get to
of these
find
shows.
out who was behind
Right.
the Pikes. I guess they're.
That was my big whiff.
Oh,
I've
I
been
did.
calling it the whole time, and
Thought we'd see somebody
swing and a
behind.
miss.
I did not think that we would get a little more of Mayor Mokshai's.
I know.
like that we
Yeah.
got the mayor in
He's a
general
puppet. We
again.
can see he's a puppet.
He was kind of
Yes.
Literally,
He
he's
was.
a CGI. But he's
how about Fennec
character's a
hanging him?
puppet.
I
How about
know.
Fennec being the
I
master
love that
assassin?
they're
awesome.
highlighting each character's like their actual skill set.
Yeah.
Because I did wonder in the middle of the fight, I was like, "Where's Fennec?"
Mhm.
I know.
Because for a while I was like,
She was
this is all
going from place to
down.
place, and then
Failed.
she just stopped showing up.
Yeah,
Went to
Yeah.
take out the.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Took
That was
out every single head
I
of the
love it.
house, basically, all in the same
all the
room.
families that
Yeah,
betrayed him.
Michael Corleone moment.
That's
Took
there.
them
it.
all.
They're all in the prisons and just
Get
It's
them
the
all in
moment.
place. That's it.
I love it too, because like shoot, shot, hang, and then the knife in the back. It's just like just
mhm.
ruthless.
yeah.
And you're like, that's the master assassin.
Yes.
That's the assassin character
That's
we've been
it. They
hearing
don't know
all
where
about.
you are. Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
I like that they did that, and then obviously they show Santo and his strength. He's just getting tackled, and then he comes running around the corner, just throwing Trandoshans
Right.
left and right.
Awesome.
He was begging for the Trandoshan
We were-
to attack him. He's like,
He's like, bring
please.
it on.
we were joking about that while watching it.
Wait. His foot.
Nate
his
loves
sideways
the
foot when he's
him
limping.
dragging
Oh,
his
man.
foot that's hurt. His just big padded like dog foot.
He's like Bigfoot just dragging.
Comes out
this episode, it was also so much about just Santo constantly almost being about to die, and people going, "Get Santo!" Every time he looks like he's gonna die.
I don't
Get
know.
him, Santo. Pull yourself together, mate. Get
Can
out
somebody, maybe someone in chat can look this up for us.
Chad?
Seriously, what's
He's got.
I have
what's
access to a
stronger,
device.
Beskar armor or Wookiee skin? I mean, this dude was just
Oh
taking
man.
taking
You mean
shots.
Wookiee pelt?
Wookiee pelt.
Wookiee pelt.
He was taking shots, just taking bullets to the chest, and just kept walking.
The question is, if the Rancor put Santo in his mouth, yeah, I believe he'd be
Yeah.
able to crush him like a grape. I think probably.
Santa
Like
just does
great.
nothing.
That would be
Maybe
hilarious.
not.
Man,
He gets hair in his teeth.
Mando didn't even get a dent.
that's true.
No.
I guess
There's,
is his Beskar supposed to be like pure Beskar, or was
Pure
that just the
Beskar.
spear?
Not,
No,
it's
pure
not
best.
Boba's.
I was gonna
Oh,
say,
you
it
mean-
doesn't seem like Boba's. If Boba's is
No.
getting scratched and dented.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
Mando's is. I know that the spear is 100%.
Yeah,
Pure,
I
'cause
know
they
they
talk
said
about
that,
that.
which is now chain link armor.
Now it's
Which Grogu's
is.
wearing.
Which I
Just-
guess let's
every
touch on
time
that.
Grogu just waddles out there.
Is that
I
the
love it.
choice? Clearly, I guess right. He made the choice. He picked the chainmail
Here's the
armor.
choice.
We don't know if he's got anything attached to one of his hips,
I
though.
know.
I
was
can't
looking.
imagine him giving him a. He doesn't even know how to.
No, I don't think
Be a
Luke was.
disaster.
Yeah, trained. He's.
It'd be horrible.
We didn't even trust you to fly your own ship to get there. Why would we
No,
let you?
No.
Grogu puts the Rancor to sleep and then just.
Just kills him. No.
No,
No,
I
I'm
I
with
think
you. I think
probably
that's a
not yet.
ways away.
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely a ways away for sure. The lightsaber stuff. But does that leave it open for? Well, one, obviously he's with Mando again.
Mhm.
But does it leave it open for a Grogu down the road to make his own lightsaber now? We know that's kind of a Jedi. I mean, if
Gonna
he
have
ever
to.
comes back to any sort of Jedi training,
Right.
is that must be open for a possibility, I guess.
I guess. I mean, I mean, it's wide open. What do they
It's
do
wide
now?
Wide
open
open.
now.
What do they do now?
Wide open.
He's
It
not with
is.
Boba.
I mean, what are our
The
There's no
state of
huge cliffhanger.
Mandalore. The state of Mandalore is kind of the Bo-Katan and is really, I guess, the
Yeah.
taking back Mandalore or reviving Mandalore is kind of just the big open thing that they left from that they've teased with the Darksaber.
Yeah.
Because whenever you see the Darksaber, that's what it's tied to as far as that's the
Right.
legacy of it. And there were a couple times, even this episode, I think, where Uncle, you were like, "That's the lead. That's the ruler of Mandalore right there." With his,
Yeah.
Feels
I
like it.
will say one
Yeah,
of
it
my
does.
highlights of the whole season, but especially this
is the
episode,
way.
is the way he delivered "This is the way" this
Yeah.
time. It was the coolest I think
It
he's ever
was.
said it. It was like I got like
It
chills.
also had a
getting
different
it.
mean I feel like
And
this
it was
time.
It wasn't.
It
Yeah.
wasn't
It
a this
wasn't-
is the way of this is a cult. This is the way because this is what I've been programmed. This is the way as in we're brothers.
That's
Like
right.
this
Yeah.
is
This
is the way. This is
Not
this is
about
band
the-
of brothers now.
Right.
This
It's
is
about
not
standing together.
It's not this is the way because this is our rigid
Yeah.
thing that we decided
Right.
that I took off my
Which
helmet.
is
I'm not a
interesting because it
Mandalorian.
seems like and Boba kind of even calls it out too, is like, you seem very like
really believe that
completely bought
Panther
into
fodder?
this whole thing.
Yeah, what's
Right
he-
after he gets disowned. Right after he's told he's not Mandalorian, he's like, it seems like he's more bought in than ever. Like, this
I
is
think
the
he
way,
was-
this is, we don't back down.
I think he was hurt by that, but I think he was like, yeah, I don't. You're right. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not with this anymore. I don't think
Yeah.
Yeah.
he didn't. I mean, he tried. His heart was like, I gotta fix this. But then he was like, well, I really don't think I want to fix it because I'd do it again.
Because
if I am in the same spot, I would do it tomorrow.
do it
also
I'm
rewatching.
not that.
Yeah.
And rewatching that episode with the armor, the first time, I'm not really sure how to take what she said there as far as talking about, like, this is, well, you're not a Mandalorian any longer. And the only way to regain that is to go to the waters under
The
this
waters
and
underneath
he's
the
like,
caves of
and
Mandalore.
he says, but the mines or the caves were destroyed. And all she says is, this is the way. And now, when I heard the first time, I thought she was like, this is the way. Like, you still have,
You have to
like,
do
you
it.
have to
That's
do
the
it.
only way to do it.
But then when I heard the second time and I rewatched it, and
I think I know where you're going with
it made
this.
it sound like, yeah, it's a dead
Tough.
end. Tough. Yeah. That was it. Like, sorry, that was it.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't fight back on it. And then he also doesn't, you would think if it was really important to him and that was immediately his next thing, he wouldn't be taking these side missions with Boba or like doing this thing with Grogu or like, oh, we're doing this. You would think, okay, well, I got to go do that first, get that, come back.
Right.
And now I still think that it seems like all roads are leading to Mandalore at some point, but
Yeah.
it did not feel upon rewatch that he took that as like,
A mission.
I'm just trying to get in your good graces again.
Accept
Like
it
she
again.
was like, yeah, I know it's destroyed. This is the way.
Yeah.
That was it.
I agree.
That was
Yeah,
it.
I agree.
Instead of, sorry, like you still got to go
Yep.
there because the fact that he says it was destroyed,
Mhm.
she didn't say like, yes, but there's still a little water there and you can go do it.
Right.
This is the way. So I'm with you. I don't think that he left that conversation being like, my only goal now is I've got to go get back in good graces
Sure.
with those two living
two,
out in,
yeah.
in
When there's other
a
Mandalorians out
space
there.
station somewhere.
He knows
One of
they're
which
Mandalorian, and they.
one
Yeah.
of which who just tried to kill me to take the darksaber.
Right.
I mean, I'm not trying to sleep with one eye open at night next
He's
to this
def-
guy.
he redefined what the way is.
Yeah.
The way is you do what you do to protect the people that you care about.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the way.
If I said I'm gonna do something, then I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna keep my word. I'm gonna do what I said, and I'm gonna stick to
And
it.
a lot of times that we saw him say that line in the past too.
honor.
Not every time,
the
but
name
some
of
of the
honor.
Yep.
times was out of response too. Like
yeah.
the armor would say, "This is the way," and then he would respond by acknowledging, "This is the way."
Mhm.
Very different than you hit in the moment with Boba Fett, and now he's the one
Let me-
initiating,
let me-
saying, "This is the way."
Can I get religious on you real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are like, please don't.
No, go
Please
for
don't.
Go. For
There's
And
two mindsets.
the chat 10, 9, everyone just leaves the
That's
chat.
it. All right. I'm gonna try to get it down to 0 if possible.
Well,
No, here's
you
the
can
thing.
only do religion if you sprinkle some politics in there too.
Oh well, yeah. It's all
This
gonna
is-
mix in. It's
this
all
is
gonna
gonna
mix
be
in.
great.
COVID. We'll have
This
the whole
will
thing.
be-
We'll split this thing in down the middle.
This will be great. This is so good for the podcast.
No, it's actually more tame than that. So here's the thing, right? So you have different religious sects over history that emphasize introspection or works. Right?
Yeah.
Some value the introspection of it, that monks that would be solitary, and the idea is to sit and pray. But when you do that, then you're actually not doing works that affect other people.
Sure.
But then other people really highlight and emphasize the things you do for other people as the most important. It feels like Children of the Watch have a set of rules that are very introspective.
Mhm.
They're designed to keep you in a certain way,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
way. But what Mando is doing are designed for the good of others.
Yeah.
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 And when those clash, he said it. Well, that's different than what we do. That internal thing with they have attachments or whatever, they don't have attachments because they're outward. It feels like Mando's path, again, not being more human, but also is realizing this introspective thing and these rules just for rules. There's another way, and that's that
Yeah.
you keep your word, you commit to the people you care about.
Right.
You be a person of honor, even if it conflicts necessarily with
Right.
this particular. So
Yeah.
And all of these things he also did with them offering money, and he said, "No, it's on the house."
Right.
On the house.
Yeah.
he's
So
not even doing it for gain.
right. It was genuine
selfless.
out of yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I
That's
like
an
that.
honor.
And this is totally you helped me.
Yeah.
I was in a bind. You helped me get the kid. You helped me get Grogu back. You knew what he meant to me. You helped me do that. And now, like you said, on the house, but even on the house when it's the Alamo, they're all of a sudden they're bunkered in there,
Right.
and it's it's the two of them essentially in there, and they're like, well, what is the plan? And of course, they've got the mayor's major domo that they throw out there, and we were like, if he dies, he dies. If he dies, he dies. If he dies, he dies. I see 3 of them out there. Rocky Balboa.
That was the celebrity I saw on the internet.
You did.
It was Stallone.
It was Stallone. Did you say that it was rumored that Stallone was going to be a Jedi character too, or was a Force user at some point?
Jedi.
No, no. It,
Immediately.
That
No,
wasn't
what
it.
Nate said was definitely not.
it was a Jawa. Cut to Stallone's face at the red. Looked out.
Hey, Tootie. Hey, Tootie. Hey, Tootie. Hey, Adrian, Tootie.
I didn't mean to say no. I was just trying to get to that.
No, that
Get to
made
that
it better.
joke.
That made it better because I went along. I started riffing on Jedi, and Uncle goes, yeah, and he said, this, no. He was
don't
on the
even
right
go there.
path. That was not it.
That was not.
No, it was definitely not it.
It was yeah. It wasn't Stallone.
So good.
You
It
got to
was
watch
not
the
Stallone.
deleted scenes to find out who it was. They're on Disney Plus
Oh, boy.
right
man.
now.
The Mando, just as far as we talk all the time about just the big story connection, the growth of Boba, the growth of Mando, but
Yeah.
also part of Star Wars is also just the cool. There was so
Yeah.
much in this that when I was joking around earlier, that felt like you're dumping the action figures out. If I had a Rancor action figure, which I don't believe I do.
Probably
Boba.
get one on Amazon.
Wait a second. It's like a lucky 8 ball.
Shake it. He's no
That's all.
good
He says
dog.
4 things.
That sounds like young Tamar Morrison.
Yeah, I think it is.
I was thinking Jeremy Bullock. I think it's.
It's got just
He's
the
no
hint
good
of the
shade.
accent there.
Did.
But I was saying the cool when they both fly out with their jetpacks,
Oh
and
my
Boba
gosh.
comes up first, and then
Mando around the corner.
wheel around of Mando
So
coming around the
sick.
corner. Also, just the different times. One time when they're fighting the droid, and there's such a cool shot where it's close on Boba, and the droid
Yeah.
turns and he blasts his jetpack like,
Sideways.
around to the side of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, we've just never seen, even going back to, I remember that episode 3, chapter 3 of the Deborah Chow episode of season 1 of Mandalorian, when all the
them
Mandalorians come out.
Yeah.
And we saw them come out.
Sin.
Yeah. And we saw them come out, and we even saw like what we call like the little Iron Man moments of like when he flies with them and basically like salutes
That's
and then veers
pre-jetpack.
off.
I
Yeah.
gotta get me one of those.
We never saw
Right.
any of the close bursting jetpack stuff like we saw in this episode, as far as just the use of just the utility of it, of being on the ground. Like we've seen it where
Yeah,
you're
right.
flying, but like
right.
using the jetpack where
just to maneuver side
Pelly-
left and right.
Pelly's thing or go you bucket of bolts, and then the thing breaks and they fly off, and Grogu wah!
And he ejects forward.
just, and
yeah.
he just
Yeah.
jets out with the jetpack to catch him, and then Pelly takes a hard fall.
Yeah.
I know.
Teeth fly out.
Teeth fly out.
Love it. We'll probably
Love it.
mention that 5 more times. But there was so much of it that was just very cool. Obviously, we mentioned the Rancor.
Yeah.
The,
no, the shots.
classic
Great
showdown.
shots,
Yeah,
great
the
moments,
classic
yeah.
showdown with the way they set up Cad Bane.
Yeah.
Very cool. The final shot with Fennec, as far as the way, or her final shot as far as taking out the heads of all the houses. Very cool.
I just love Fennec's
The
characters. Just-
giant. I can't remember what they called it, but essentially, I saw that people had posted on Twitter that it was from it was an unused. It was in like the visual dictionary of the giant, like almost destroyer droid in this.
Mm.
Was an unused droid that had concept art for Attack the Clones.
Really?
Yeah, that's where they found it, and it's identical. It's this exact thing.
What's she
that
called?
they didn't use then.
Scorpicon?
Yeah, it was like something with an S.
Scorpicon. I
yeah.
think it was.
Yeah.
It
Scorpicon.
was just
think
yeah,
that's
so
it.
much just so
Scorpicon.
cool in this. So much of it was
So
just
cool.
droid.
so cool. Like I love he's got the droid the Rancor's got the droid and he's about to rip him apart, and Boba's sitting there and just do it. And just do it. Just King Kong rips it
That's
apart.
awesome.
Just awesome.
I
So much
saw
cool
these,
stuff.
Like when, so we watched it at 2, and
AM.
right 2 a.m. when it dropped, and I love seeing all the tweets that are like immediately after, because everyone's just freaking out, like they don't know how to control their emotions. But immediately you'll get a bunch of these tweets that are like, Boba Fett spoilers with no context. So it'd be like pictures from other stuff, but if you saw it, you would get it.
Yeah.
And some of them were like King Kong. You can post like up to 4 pictures.
Oh,
So
that's
everyone would
great.
post 4 pictures, and it'd be like 4 different moments.
Mm-hmm.
One was King Kong. One was, but you reminded me. One of them was the Emperor, and it was just do it. It was
Do it.
obviously referencing
Great.
the rip there. But yeah, it was great.
That was awesome.
So good.
Yeah. There's
What's
just,
been the reaction like online? Because I haven't looked.
yeah, so
I
we'll
think
discuss
It's
it.
always mixed, I guess.
Yeah.
know there's a lot of people that were.
I feel
There's been a lot of people giving Robert Rodriguez flack
yeah.
that didn't like his specific directing, which
Uh-huh.
we'll talk about a little bit. He does have very specific directing. A Robert Rodriguez
There's a
episode
specific clip
does
for
not.
sure.
A Robert Rodriguez episode does not feel like a Bryce Dallas Howard episode.
No.
No.
Uh-uh.
Nor
or Filoni.
nor
episode.
should each episode feel the exact same,
Right.
like we talked about.
They-
There's a
they-
reason
that's
why
what they
Robert
hired him
Rodriguez
for.
is not directing the Luke episode. That's not his style
Right.
of storytelling that we've seen.
Action.
Yeah.
Comedy.
Yeah.
But there were some
fun
criticisms. I think that
There were some harsh criticisms.
there were some
That I
There were
saw.
some people that said they thought that the editing was a little strange as far as like some of his shots. They just said some specific filmmaking stuff of people were
Mhm.
like he lingered on certain shots, or he would cut away to like a random person and then cut back to something else. Which again, that stuff didn't really bother me that much. As far as some of the things I didn't like as much were not even necessarily, I don't think, as much Rodriguez stuff as probably Favreau, who wrote the episode. Like there was a couple things I'm like, okay, we're spending a little more time on this part of the planning process than maybe they need to, versus, or we're spending a lot of time with the mods, which aren't
Yeah.
they're not my favorite. I don't hate them. Like some people are like, oh, I don't like this at all. It's
Yeah.
not Star Wars. I'm not a huge fan of the bikes. I understand their purpose. It's just, to me, it's like, cool. I think it serves its purpose. It's not
Right.
my favorite thing. So
yeah, but it is what
when
it is.
one of the bikes got shot, I was kind of like, yeah.
There we
Like, I was like,
3 more. Let's end it.
yeah,
shoot them down.
End it right now.
I saw some people online that were like, they were joking around after watching it. They were like, yeah, let's send the mods out on the front line. Good luck. I just like, get them mowed down.
They're like, we'll stay here and fight. Boba's like, yeah, you do that.
You do
I'll be
that,
in the-
yeah. I'll be in the
over here.
palace. I'll be in the bunker over there where
Yeah.
I've got Danny Trejo eating all my food or whatever he's doing over there. He's just
Doritos commercials.
they
in
just
the-
cut to him and he's just
in the
like
bottom of the-
showering and he's just
right.
like he's sleeping in Boba's bed. He's just got the whole
Yeah.
place to himself. So to answer your question, I know it's mixed. Some people said they
Yeah.
really loved it. I saw people that were like 10 out of 10, love it. Other people were like felt it was a little underwhelming. I think
Yeah.
one of the big things was, and I get it, there's a lot of we've talked about this before
Yeah.
about speculation and having stuff built up
Right.
of stuff you want to see can affect
Sure.
your viewing experience. I think that the more times I saw this episode, I've seen it 3 times today, I liked it more and more every single time. And I think the first time I really liked it. But the first time I really liked it, the whole time in the back of my head, I was like, and when's a new character coming? Or when's this
yeah,
coming?
right.
And-
What's the
and-
big reveal? What's
and
the
it
big
did make
reveal?
me not like it, but it was like the whole time I'm thinking something's happening instead of
Mhm.
just focus on what's going on.
Right.
Sure.
And so you have a little bit of that distraction.
I could say that I did that too. A little
yeah.
bit. Yeah.
Where like the second time I'm watching it, every little Cad Bane thing with Boba, I was like, ooh, that's one of my favorite things I've seen in Star Wars in a long time. Or just like
Mhm.
some of the dialogue
Cad
there I
Bane
thought was
just-
great,
he's
the way
just
they
got
were
a
digging at
different
each
feel.
other. And
Right.
also the moments I said of Mando with Boba, I thought shows how their stories connect and shows
Yeah.
how the themes of those stories overlap, even though they're growing and have different growth as far as what they're kind of learning. One's like learning to become a father and getting away, and like you said, humanizing, and the other's learning of how do I take what I'm good at and actually
Yeah.
apply it in a way that's
Mhm.
going to also help people around me and
That's
do
right.
it in. So yeah, there was some mixed reviews of what I heard.
Yeah, no, there's definitely mixed reviews. I mean, I was firsthand. You guys know this whole every single episode.
You claimed it would be
recorded.
cloning.
I claimed it would be no, I always thought there
Yeah.
was someone bigger behind the pikes.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, even though I speculated that was just out of, I just thought that's where it was going. It wasn't
Mhm.
necessarily like, oh, I need this to happen.
Right.
It was just like I could see the story getting there and there being some sort of reveal of like who's really behind the pikes. Now that knowing it didn't happen, I'm not like, I understand why after seeing the episode.
Yeah.
I'm not like huge letdown, But I think that is some of what Mike was saying of like, because I kind of had this in my mind of thinking there might be someone else behind the pikes and like really in charge. Had that in the back of my mind the first time watching it of like who it, and then not seeing it. I wasn't like major let down of like, oh dang, I was really expecting that and it didn't happen type deal. It wasn't like that. It was just like, oh, there wasn't. That was it. It is what it is. But there is some response on the internet of people saying there wasn't. It felt like it was missing something. Now, for me, I was also looking forward to the Rancor stuff the whole time. So that was sweet for me. I really love that. That was great. I think it was something that I saw was coming, and a lot of us may have predicted it was coming because they kind of teased it, but took it to a whole level I didn't think they were going to do, and that was surprising to me, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
I think part of it is that we didn't get there was nobody new.
Yeah. Well,
and like
no new characters.
And to add on what I was saying too regarding that, I do get it. Like if you're asking what my initial response was, I really, really liked the episode. But if you're asking like, did I have coming off of the high of the Luke Skywalker episode right before it, which is almost impossible to compete with, you're then like, what's the big surprise that's coming in this one, or even I will say, a lot of us had speculation that it would also tee up a little bit more of what's coming next.
Thought it might lead into something.
And I know that I initially, and again, I wasn't like mad, but I was kind of like, oh, nice. Cobb Vanth's alive. Oh, is that it? Oh, okay. Like I thought I was gonna get. I thought that
I think I know why they're doing that.
Tell me, Boba.
Because
I just like that voice.
Like they wrap. So remember end of season 2 of Mando?
Yeah,
everything's wrapped up.
That's what I thought too.
We could just call it.
Yeah, it really is the end of a story.
I mean, aside from the Darksaber confrontation,
right?
But that is true. If the show
ended,
like, you wouldn't feel like it just ended in the middle.
Right.
Like they obviously had some stuff set up where they could go, but it was the end of a 2-season story arc.
Yeah,
it is not. Yeah, this was not a lost season finale.
Yeah,
where you get a huge season cliffhanger.
It's leaving it open for you to speculate.
It's kind of like if you want us to make another one, we got stuff to tell you. If we don't, we're not going to leave you feeling like unresolved.
Yeah.
No, I will say, and I appreciate that.
That
makes sense.
In that sense too, it felt like a finale. Like it absolutely everything about it felt like a finale.
Right.
Even down to the music that played when they walked the streets at the end. It was like, this is for sure. Now he's the Godfather.
Very
people are bowing to him and stuff, and he's hurt. And
Luke, Han, Leia, Chewie ceremony. New Hope
it very much felt. You could just feel it.
Over.
If you had never watched the show and you tune in on that last episode and the way it starts and the way it's panning out and the different type of like music playing, you're like, this feels like the end of a show. Like you can just tell. But yeah, I mean, and like I said, there's some people who have been really rough on Robert Rodriguez. I saw he was trending on Twitter, and there were some people that are like, never let Robert Rodriguez touch a Star Wars ever again. That's what people do. There's also people who say that about Rian Johnson, and I love what Rian Johnson
Can I
does.
just say
Rian Johnson anything.
Can I just say this? Okay, I loved Chapter 6, but if they were all that pace, I'd be sleeping part of the time.
Yeah,
because what made that cool is that it was Luke. And Grogu and Ahsoka.
And even then, I saw people saying the training stuff was a little too long. Even then, even with it being Luke, I saw people criticizing.
That's kind of the vibe for every episode. It's a snoozer, man.
You can't, and there's so much of this too that's you can't please some people or like everybody, because one of the big criticisms early on is, when's Boba just gonna just kick butt, and like, when are we gonna get? I heard people going into this episode who legitimately, I've heard some of their videos and stuff on YouTube. Yeah. They're like, you can tell they love Star Wars, but they will say stuff going into it like, this better have a big epic battle, big epic war, and then afterwards they watch it, and I was just curious, and they were like, just underwhelming. And I was like, I get it if you think underwhelming because you were looking for other stuff, but if you were looking for the war and you thought that the Rancor and all of that battle was underwhelming. I mean, again, to each their own as far as like your tastes and stuff. But if one of the things you thought the show was missing before was that you didn't see enough Boba action, also the fact, and we've all made the jokes about it was odd, to say the least, that it was a different style of storytelling to have Boba really not be in those 2 episodes, 5 and 6, or
Right.
not in 5 and then he's there visible in 6
Get a
but not
cameo
even
in
talking in
6.
6.
A little cameo.
That is a different type of storytelling.
It is.
But they finished this with a Boba, not only a Boba episode, but everybody who was there served the story of Boba Fett and what he was trying to do. Even the stuff with Mando was
Served its
tied to
purpose.
helping Boba. The themes were there, as
Yeah.
far as they were tied to Boba and Mando's journey together. And it was also Boba being the hero. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Fennec the hero as well, obviously. But it wasn't Mando who stepped in and defeats a Cad Bane at the end. It's Boba. Boba goes and handles his business because this is the guy he's got history with.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's his growth, and we touched on it earlier. It's his growth because of what he went through with the Tuskens and that whole tragedy that ends up helping them be victorious in the end. But yeah, it's just certain people I think just expected different things, and I get it because, like we said, we had some of those going into it that like I thought there was a lot of it that just surprised me.
Right.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a character that joined
Yeah.
or a big let's lift the curtain and
Could
find
you
out who the Wizard of Oz
I
is or
don't-
who's behind it.
yeah.
So that could have just done.
Like, I understand if you look at some of the moments, or like you mentioned, if you're going to critique some of the cuts, so you're like, oh, that was kind of an awkward cut,
there are
an
some
awkward
odd
transition.
comedy
Then,
things that
then I get
There were
why
a
you
couple
could look
things
at
I noticed.
Rodriguez and be like, oh, that was kind of a weird directing choice. But you can't look at the episode and be like, why didn't Luke and Ahsoka show up and just help mow everybody down and blame Rodriguez? It's like he didn't write it. He's directing it. He didn't write the story for this part. So this actual storytelling of the episode or the
Right.
chapter, you can't then fall back and also blame Rodriguez.
Can I
for
share what
something
I would have
that.
liked to have seen?
yeah.
Nah, I don't want to. No, what a dumb question. No, you can't share.
You can't share.
How dare you?
Dude,
Turn that
yes.
mic off
Yeah.
and
No.
get out.
Can we mute him?
What do you
I
think
went on
this
a rant.
is?
You can't do anything.
I wish. Okay, so remember the Matrix, the second Matrix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Reloaded.
was it the second one? I think it was the second one. When he's fighting all of the they're coming,
The
and you can
Smiths.
just see all the Smiths. There's like
Yeah.
hundreds of them.
On the rooftop.
I wish we
Like
would have.
Santo.
I wish we would have been able to see all the Pikes as they amassed around the corners and get a sense of how big it didn't feel as
Rather
big.
than like coming in
Yeah.
waves.
When
You
it's
mean, like,
only
just,
when it's
yeah.
only 10 at a time or
it didn't
5 at
feel
10.
out
I agree.
out of reach. I would have loved to have seen it be out of reach, and then them somehow
Then the
still
Rancor shows up.
still
Yeah.
hanging on, still going.
It didn't have, and again, it's
You-
hard to compare, but
it
it didn't
didn't
have that
feel
Lord.
hopeless.
It didn't have that Lord of the Rings moment
Yeah.
of it's Helm's Deep, and you see the army
sea
that's
of-
surrounding you, and you're
Right.
like, it's hopeless.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted
makes
that
sense.
feeling.
It didn't have, and to put it in perspective, Mando getting with what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. Darksaber.
With Moff Gideon.
Moff
Moff
Gideon
Gideon.
showing up with the troopers to just mow him down. You're like,
That's the
oh, Mando's got
sentiment.
no choice. Like
That's the
they're gone.
sentiment, right?
That
Yeah.
is a little different feel. They're trapped in there, like, they don't
I
stand a
would have liked
chance.
to
How are
have
they
seen
getting out of
that.
this?
Yeah.
That's
especially
kind of it.
especially because what they really set up and were explicit about in this is that the Pikes themselves are not. Each Pike is not scary. It's the numbers.
That's right.
Boba said our
Right.
skills are no match against the numbers of
That's
the Pikes.
right. But we only
So
saw
if
like
you really
12 at a
show the
time.
numbers a lot
Yeah, I
more,
agree.
One
that
thing
you
I
would
was hoping
feel
for.
you would feel more of
I
that
agree.
threat. I think.
I
Yeah.
did think also it was interesting when he left. My first thought was he's like, I'm gonna go get reinforcements or go get whatever, right?
Mhm.
Boba. He said, hold him off or hold him while I go. My first thought was Rancor, like, because I was expecting to see a
Right.
Rancor at some point, it made
Yep.
sense. But I did think it was interesting too, because like at the same time, why not just bring Slave One and just mow everybody down? Like that was also kind of a thought. Is like Slave One wasn't utilized, or Fire Spray, whatever they're calling it,
at
Yeah.
all.
wasn't utilized either in the episode. Which
Could be too
Again, I don't-
destructive. Although you could argue Rancor's a little destructive.
Rancor just
It
destroyed.
almost
Lost
felt
control
like,
of the
yay,
Rancor.
thanks for saving us.
Oh,
Destroying
Kinda,
the town.
because
Yeah,
our whole
kinda.
town is
now he's up
destroyed.
on the Empire State
Yeah, so
Building.
that was one thing.
Yeah, it could have been
I
a
just-
thing.
I mean, not that I would have wanted that to be the story of like him just come in and take him out and be like, oh, that's it, we won.
Yeah.
But
Woo!
it just seemed like a logical thing too, if we're just going based off, like how could that have been utilized in any aspect too,
Yeah.
knowing that that's a huge thing and that's a huge character piece of who Boba Fett is.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know.
You
It
were
is.
saying earlier, were they Rodriguez moments or episode moments, or was it just that numbers thing? You were saying there were a couple things that you were like, there were a couple things that you were like, not my favorite. Or
Yeah, and they're small. Like there was a scene where Fennec jumps on the bike.
yeah,
It's a weird cut. She slams it,
I
and then
remember
we
that.
cut, and then it goes, takes off.
Yeah, it starts off really
Yeah.
really slow and then
Mhm.
goes.
It was
I
an
remember
odd
that too.
thing.
I actually
thought that too. I
Like
caught
you-
that when
it
it
took
when you
off, it
slam
felt-
it, the
Yeah.
cut should have been already full speed.
I thought that too.
It was a
she
weird
goes,
kind of a
"Whoop,"
thing.
and it goes.
Yeah,
and
I
was like,
agree.
"Oh, that's
It was odd.
I
interesting."
noticed it more the second time I watched it.
And there's a little bit of when Rey is running. She's not a great
Yeah.
runner.
Mhm.
Fennec's not a great runner. And when we had
Yeah.
that cut of her running up to the bike, I was like, we don't need that.
Yeah, I know what you
Yeah.
mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I noticed that
Yeah.
as well.
Like we could just get one step, boom, on the bike, punch it,
Let's go.
Yeah.
There's just a couple little things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's for sure two little. And again, we did talk about this because this goes back to just even, of course, goes back to George Lucas when you look at what George did with the prequels. But Star Wars has always been a balance of the weird, goofy, and grotesque with
Sure.
the cantina, Jabba's palace, all of that
Yeah.
stuff, Minox, all of this stuff. That's just in the original trilogy, with the really cool and like the Han Solo, the Boba, the Lando.
Mhm.
It's always been a balance of these two.
Yeah.
We were joking around about Max Rebo is an inflatable elephant that looks like he'd be at a gas station just blowing in the wind.
Exactly.
Doesn't look anything close to
and we
an
all
actual
cried
being.
when they blew it up, thinking, no.
And we're all like,
Like,
"Oh,
I had
Max,
seen
that-
that. He's
no,
alive.
Max.
He's alive.
He's got it. It was Max's night off. He's got to be alive.
He's got to be alive.
So there's always something. There's always tons of things you can nitpick or be like, that's weird and that's odd there. But there were a couple of things that definitely felt like Rodriguez moments as far as the timing that I think I'd say most of the comedy worked for me that I thought like, oh, this feels right in the moment. There was a
spin.
couple. Huh?
The spin.
Yeah, there was a couple that
The
feel
spin
like
shot.
it. There
Spin
was a couple that felt like it was a little more.
Major Domo and Pelly.
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
With the timing of it, what could be terrifying. Mando's
Right.
blowing fire in the Rancor's mouth to try to stop it, and it goes to bite.
Bite
It
his
looks
head
like he
off.
might just rip his head off.
Yeah.
And this could be a horrifying Jurassic Park moments where like this looks like
Right.
he's about
Yeah.
to get eaten right here.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening is right when he bites down, or right before
There's a
that,
comment.
you've
right.
got Pelly who's like, it's all right, kid. Your dad's a crafty one. And then he's about to bite on the head, and ding, and she goes, oh, spoke too soon. And then and it immediately takes her out of like, oh,
Takes
she's
out of the
joking. He's
horror.
gonna be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Which again, I don't think any of us in that moment thought, dang, Mando's gonna die, and this is the way he's
No,
gonna die.
but-
Mhm.
But it immediately alleviates any of the tension there.
But could he get his head bitten off and become a mod Mando?
Could be. That doctor is gonna be replacing everybody.
I could fix it.
He can fix somebody. He doesn't have a head.
Does it have any heads or
He's
arms?
just a droid now.
Don't worry about it.
Don't
Oh.
worry about it.
You got a head. I got a great head guy.
Yeah,
We
got
got
a-
heads.
I got a guy who does heads.
Yeah, a guy who does heads. Also, not at all how this doctor talks, but this is the way we do it.
Wait a minute.
Guy who
Hey,
does
guy
it.
who-
Is
what are
it
you-
Mayfeld? Yeah, I do heads. What? Yeah, you do, Mando.
Hey, Mando.
Put your head
Hey,
back
Mando.
on and fix it.
Mando. So that's one of the couple moments that, and like Nate was saying, there's the
Spin.
big
I saw a bunch
dramatic
of people.
spin with the mod where he's like, now it's different because Mando did a spin earlier in that episode that was very cool,
Mhm.
which is he and Boba are facing the same way, and
Yeah.
someone's about to shoot him, and Mando does this cool spin and bang, shoots someone, and it looks
Yeah, I remember
awesome.
Yeah.
The mod is actually
Facing the way he's going.
and he sees someone and goes and spins,
And ends
losing
up the
his
same
sight
direction.
this way, and then turns back and bang, 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 shoots 3 pikes. That was like, these pikes had a good 2 seconds there.
Right,
that he
right.
did the
Yeah.
slow-mo spin that they could have taken
And
him
why
out.
is he riding his bike, get in the front line, and start shooting him? He's a
when
dead
they're
eye.
when they're riding, I mean, there's
right.
there's a couple other little critiques too. And again, don't want this to sound like I didn't like the episode. I really liked the episode. There's a couple of just strategic things too. Of if they know the Pikes have them way outnumbered, and their main plan is that, hey, we've got all of our Fennec's talking about the plan with Boba. We've got
Right.
Santos stationed here with the Trandoshans. We've got this person here. We've got the mods here. Like hide behind a pillar or something.
Right.
We got Santo here, out in the middle of this giant fur ball amongst all these Trandoshans. Like he's not hiding. Like
No.
everyone
Right.
knows he's there. So one,
Right.
he's a threat.
You
Obviously,
had a
Trandoshans-
meeting. Everyone knows you're on Boba's side.
First of all, also, as much as Santo maybe have begged, send me to the Trandoshan area, know the history between the Trandoshans and the
They're
Wookiees
gonna turn
is
on
that even if everything goes great,
Forget the whole.
this
town
ends
thing.
up
It's
this
just-
ends up in a Santo bar fight with he's
Right.
going to
For
end up
sure.
fighting them even if the
you. You just
goes
ripped my
according to
boy's
plan.
arm off.
He pulled the arms off his best friend 2 days ago.
So there's a
You're-
couple, and again, it's not a big thing, but a couple strategic things that I'm like, the mods see all like there's a big army and they're like standing right in front of them. Like, well, they see them, or like the two unfortunate, the not a ton of muscle is two Gamorreans. Like,
no.
okay, we've got an indestructible
Clearly not.
Wookiee. We've got these mods who at least have
3
these
children and
bikes they
grandma
can get
pushed him
away
off a
with.
cliff.
And then
And-
poked until they.
And we've got two
Nor are they
shirtless
bright.
Gamorreans
That's also-
who all of a sudden see like that there's like 5 people there and they just start backing
Wait.
up off the thing
talking about the
that
numbers.
you're. And
Talking
again,
about-
we're having fun, but it's
Talking
like
about the numbers,
I could see that going south.
We're just picking fun at
The
it. I
squeal.
love the episode. Talking
Wow.
about the numbers,
Yeah.
seeing the train and then it go through. I was expecting an army. I was expecting at
That's
least
what I was
maybe
getting at is
15,
4,
20.
5, 6.
This is
The
What?
fact that the two
People with-
Gamorreans
We go through them like butter.
6 people with sticks.
like butter. The fact that yeah, these are useless things. Cut down like butter.
Die, pigs, die! Did they yell that? I
If
think
you
they
look
yelled
closely,
that.
you can actually see
Great.
they just threw a piece of meat off the side and they just ran and jumped.
But no, you're right. It's the the Gamorreans are great muscle. Unless, of course, you have more than 2 of you. Like, it was like, unfortunately, this was not. It was like, oh, there's 6 of them,
Right.
and the Gamorreans they
They
could
didn't
run.
even
they
take
could
out one?
I mean, they don't. I don't even think they have guns. I guess they didn't
They
have
didn't
guns
get
on,
one
but they didn't
swinging.
even get swing.
Well,
they just
took
get, like,
they took
bullied off
on
of it.
the assassin crowd with the shadow.
Yeah.
What were they?
Oh, the Nightwind.
Yeah.
The
They came in and saved the day.
Order of the Nightwind.
the assassins.
The Order of the
no.
they were
No.
able to defeat the Order of the Nightwind,
But
but
A couple
6
guys with sticks.
6 angry civilians pushed him off of a cliff, and they
Jab,
squealed
jab,
all
jab.
the way home.
Jab, jab.
The 2 piggies squealed all the way home. This is
Man.
but
Man.
yeah.
Poking
So
fun.
again, we can go back to some stuff we really liked about it, but those are a couple things that in the moment. Now, and again, in the moment, I'm not like, oh, the Gamorreans shouldn't die. That's one like looking back. There's a couple.
If there's anybody that was going to die, they
it's
were the
more.
ones probably.
It's more
I
of
thought
the.
more should have died. That
It's
felt-
more of some of the comedy things that in
I
the
did too,
moment I
kinda.
thought were like, that was okay, or that was.
We could. I mean, I
We
don't.
got a lot of the mayor's major domo, which
I don't hate
like
the mods, but one of them could have died. I mean, that would have been like a way.
they showed
to,
one
Yes.
new. They showed one mod get shot,
Right.
and I was like, oh, that's one we've never even seen before.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing is that because their whole thing is that they're young. These are like teenagers. These are youngsters.
Right.
You would think that if they're going up against the Pikes or something, these are not experts at war. Like, yeah, they're street smart and they've been able to handle their business. I get that,
right.
but they're driving into a war on the slowest bikes ever that are also very bright. Like,
In the smallest
and
little.
and they're not like boop, 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 boop. Like the one guy's like pew, and then drives like 20 more feet and then pew. I'm like, one of them could just one Pike could be like in the middle of a
Very
yawn and just go,
easily.
oh yeah, pew, 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 and just
I
like
know,
shoot him.
right.
But
yeah.
again,
No.
we
I thought-
joke, we have
We
fun.
joke.
But they made it. They made it through.
They made
made
it.
it.
They
They
made
made
it.
and there was so much about this episode I still
No,
really
If they
liked,
can
but-
mod their bodies, couldn't they mod their bikes? I mean,
Get
couldn't
the
we
bikes
do
a
that?
little bit
Didn't you see
faster.
the paint
Couldn't they
job?
all
The
be
guy
different?
took out his eyeball.
They could all be different.
Yeah.
Guys
Yeah.
got one leg, one arm, one eye. All the bikes are exactly the same.
I saw someone joking around too about like people were joking around. Not
Mods
even
with
this
all
is
the same bike.
This is way before this episode, but when we first saw the mods, people were joking around and,
Yeah.
and understandably about like, oh, this is like this version of like it's a
Sure.
tattoo parlor. Or like this is the youngster
Right.
who's doing the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Except someone was saying like, do you imagine just like there's adults who are like, yeah, I remember that tattoo I got when I was 20. I regret that. And they're like, hey, remember when I ripped off my own arm and I put in a metal pole instead?
Remember
Best
when I turned
decision of my
myself
life.
into
going back to Bill Burr, I think that was a bit
I
hasty.
think I saw
Mando.
that.
Remember when
That
I
was a
turned
bit
myself
hasty.
into Edward
Think it through.
Scissorhands?
Shouldn't have ripped out my own eyeball so I could,
Should have got
see
Vance's
farther on one
advice.
side. Yeah.
Think it through.
I didn't
Think of
take
the-
into account the effect of rust after a year. On my eyes.
Really?
Rust, yeah. Oil can.
Oil can.
Just,
What's he
No, I thought
That's
it was
great.
interesting. There's one other thing. Don't get back.
We
to the
joke.
We joke. There was
We-
one thing I thought was
You
just
were gonna think we're
an
Star Wars
interesting
haters now. We
decision
love
that
it. We
after
love
the
it.
whole 20, I don't know how long the battle was. How long was it?
17 minutes
okay.
of an hour. Well, credits included in an
Right.
hour, so
It was
45.
long.
40
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah,
40
40
minutes?
minutes.
Mhm.
After the whole thing, the very first line we get after is Boba going, I don't know if we're cut out for this.
Oh, yeah.
I thought, that's
think
kind of
I
weird.
think
You
you've
just
proven
spent the
that you
whole
are.
season fighting
Yeah.
everybody and then decide, I don't know if we should do this.
Was he talking about the?
angle, Boba?
Was he making the comment we're not cut out for the leading part or the? I took it that he was saying we're not cut out for this part.
for the bowing
Yeah.
to
For,
us
like,
and
the-
for the
Yeah,
adoring,
yeah.
the adoring and
It could
like
be.
that.
It could have
we're
been
not.
like
Yeah.
could have been that.
No, I agree.
It could
I
have been
think
like
that's
because
what it was. Because he was
that is a
asking
way to
about
take it.
bowing and stuff.
Yeah, like he's
That
made
is a
for the
way to
war.
take
He's
it.
just not made for the
He's
peace.
made when she says like it's either them shooting at you or this. He's like we're not cut out for this. I was cut out for people shooting at me.
Right,
That's
that
what
I'm
I
good
know.
with.
This
Right.
is because he kept saying he was uncomfortable. Why do they keep bowing at me? And he's
does it
like,
have
why
to
does
be
it
the
have to be the
right
right arm? Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good
No, I
point.
just thought it was interesting. That's the first thing.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
That whole thing. I don't know if we're cut out for this. After they just beat
well,
everybody.
tell that to the. Hopefully, you would have
to the
decided that
Pikes.
before we went to the biggest war.
Right.
No.
Hey, they're not cut out for it. Let's come back, everybody. The Pikes show up. We'll take it.
Tell the head of the Pike Syndicate I am not up for
Apologies.
it.
Apologies. If I may,
Apologies.
continue.
That's my favorite insult too.
Apologies.
Tailhead. I thought
Tailhead.
that
Oh,
was
because
because
of
of that.
What'd she say? Oh, look
that
at
guy's
you.
growing on me. I'm glad he didn't die.
I know.
That is
I
great.
like
Yeah.
it.
He made the whole thing work. His
Yeah.
distraction allowed them to.
They were
Yeah.
able to get out.
I
Yeah.
love that the Boba just didn't care about the guy. How much do you think they'd pay for the Twi'lek?
Man. You know who would make a
Yeah.
great Twi'lek? Jeff Goldblum. He would make
Oh
a
my
fan.
God.
You'd be
Could you
so
see
good.
him
So good.
with the whole head thing.
yeah,
and then
yeah,
with
His,
his,
He'd essentially be his
yeah.
his grandmaster from Thor Ragnarok.
Exactly
He'd be
the
that.
same
He'd be
guy.
oh yeah, look at there's oh yes, there's Santa's knuckles. They sparkle. Watch out. Yes,
let's,
the
look
Lord
at
of
the terms,
Lord of Crime Lord. Yes.
Crime Lord. He's,
Yes.
that's-
Wookie Pelt, touch it. I touch it.
soft
Yes,
and
soft
furry and-
and furry and
oh yes, well look at the terms.
that would be the comment. That was
how
a good
about-
episode. Little editing on Goldblum, I think. Goldblum was a little long.
was
That's the comment on the
long.
podcast.
We could
You
have
could have edited out the
You coulda-
Goldblum
We
stuff.
could have cut out the Goldblum petting chrysanthemum scene that.
It's happening in the background. He's just going.
Yes. Well, aren't you?
Boba's like, why are you petting him?
gorgeous?
It's-
Who's the little green guy?
Assassin.
No.
Pelly, no teeth. Yes, Pelly's.
Pelly's-
She's
Boba.
Spitting teeth.
Mando and Grogu, Clan of Two.
Planet 2.
They're
Yep.
back.
It's the rule of two. It's the Mando rule of two.
It is. It's the Mando.
Eventually,
Grogu.
eventually he'll rise up and kill Mando and take over as the new thing. No, we won't do that.
Small side note, back to defending again. I'm not taking any more shots at it. Defending this episode. Nate and I talked about this a little bit this morning, or I don't remember at what point today. We talked at some point. We talked. We're brothers. We talk sometimes. But there was sometimes, not too much. There were some people online, and I'm not going to call out any specific accounts or YouTubers or anything like that. But there were some people when they were, they had the understandable. Boba, Boba,
Are we gonna end with the song?
Boba Fett.
We're gonna end with that.
I love it. It's just so great.
Can we recut it with Star Wars guys?
Guys.
Star Wars guys. Like I
This is
love
our
it.
theme
Sorry.
song,
I
Star
love-
Wars
We
guys.
were
That's
joking.
on a-
This is a tangent, but
that
we were
sounds
joking
on a
around that like
singing
Favreau
rant.
had to be like, "Hey, Filoni's in the bathroom. Let's add words to this." Let's add
Come
words to
back
this.
and Filoni
Is
sees it.
anyone else hearing Boba on this? Boba Fett?
He sees it when he's like, "You gotta be kidding
No,
me."
what happened was
So excited
Favreau
about
had
it.
the idea all along, and Filoni goes, "I'll give you that. Let's just at least
Just
save
with
it
the
for
last
the
one.
last
Just
episode. I'll give
please,
it to you. Let's
please.
do it
I'll
on
take
the
it, I'll
last
take it.
one."
Do
I'll
it
take it.
after they'll already have watched the show. It'll be fine. We'll just There's so much they'll be worried about the
and then
Rancor.
by next week, it's gone. They change it.
Unless
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
all
it's not there
Rodriguez
anymore.
and people
It's
are
gone.
just blaming him for
It's
that
gone.
too.
Hey, that kind of sounds like saying Boba Fett there. Let's just change it.
Oh my gosh. There were some people who we were talking earlier about expectations, and it's hard
Sure.
sometimes when you're expecting something or if you're waiting for another character to join and you think there's someone else behind it. But this is where I do push back on, because I get that whole sentiment. Because like I said,
Yeah.
I had some of that feeling while watching it
Right.
too, of like,
I
is
thought Kira
something
was
going to
coming.
happen when someone intervening? And then all of a sudden at one point I was interested just in how much time's left. And I was like, there's 5 minutes left. There's
Nobody's
no one else coming.
Yeah.
There was one particular. There's other people who cover Star Wars. Unfortunately, we're not the only ones, despite
Yeah.
what you may hear.
I hear these rumors.
I hear these rumors. Yes, some rumors though, uncles found out don't always end up being true.
Going true.
I have no knowledge of what you're speaking of.
But
I
there,
have no memory of any of
one
that.
critique when people were saying that they felt like the this chapter 7 was a little bit underwhelming, or that they expected something in the fight going a bit like the fight was going a bit long, or that they expected someone else to show up.
Yeah.
I heard one specific person in their train of thought saying like, yeah, like guys, can you imagine, like there's just so much more they could have done that would have been so much better. Could you imagine like if in the middle of that fight Boba is fighting against Cad Bane and that's going on. You've got Fennec trying to deal with the heads of the houses and she's trying to fight them. And then Luke shows up and he's fighting a dark, and then there's a new Sith who shows up and he's fighting a dark Force user, or even like
Wait,
a
this is actually
clone.
what somebody said?
Yeah, this actually was someone said. And then or even like the dark dark Jedi from Heir to the Empire who ends up fighting Luke, or even like a clone of Luke. Could you imagine if you saw
Man.
Luke fighting a clone of Luke in the middle of this? And I'm hearing all this and I'm like,
That's not Boba Fett.
what does that have to do with this show at
I
all?
can imagine all that.
I can imagine all that. There's
Congratulations when you
nothing-
get your show.
But there's
You
nothing
can do that.
There's nothing to do with Boba Fett. Like, what in the world? Why would they
Right, right,
introduce?
right.
First of all, that's why I have pushed back since we said maybe Luke would be the one dropping off Grogu. But I've always said, like, well, I don't think Luke would ever. Why would he get in a fight with Luke? Didn't even help them out when he killed the Dark Troopers just to go get Grogu and
Luke
get
would be
out
an
of there.
enemy of Boba Fett.
Yeah, he's exactly.
He would not be on their side. He wouldn't be on anybody's side. I don't like either of these groups.
But
But bad Luke though would
some
be on
people
Boba
were.
Fett.
Bad Luke would be.
So this is where I push back, because there's good criticism and then there's like, this is what would have been better, and I'm like, no, that's way worse. What are you
Right,
talking
right,
about?
right.
And it's not like objectively, like that has nothing to do with Boba Fett's story. If you think that a random 2 episode arc of Mando, who's already tied to Boba,
Right.
and goes and fights in the finale with Boba, that it's such a big weird veering off course to go see Mando and Grogu, even though Grogu and Mando are essential to what happens in the finale, and what's and is on intertwined with them moving forward. Luke and a clone of Luke. Like, what in the world would that? If you have a clone of Luke, now all of a sudden everyone's like, who cares about Boba? What is
If
going
you think
on?
the Twitterverse was hostile to this,
That's what I'm saying, is that
They're gonna
if you think
roast
that
that.
would have been better, I'm not saying you don't know what you're talking about, but you are missing the point of just because something is cool doesn't mean it fits with this story at all.
True.
Or
Like,
is
that
cool.
Would be
Or
cool.
is cool. or you just don't know if it's
just
cool.
because you think something's cool.
So again,
doesn't
I'm
mean
not
it
going to
is.
name names.
You don't have to.
But if you look online,
My answer
it
would
won't
be
take
yeah.
you too long to
I
find
can
it.
imagine all that.
I can imagine that.
There's probably a place
Didn't
where that would
happen,
be
though.
cool.
Yeah. And
I
thank
can
goodness it
imagine
did.
Santa
It's
Claus
cool.
flying across-
Santa Claus.
Flying on the sands of Tatooine.
It would be
Not gonna
great.
happen.
Unfortunately, Santa Claus has nothing to do with Boba Fett,
No.
nor does a clone of Luke. That when
Till
they,
you find
that
out
would
Santa-
change
Right.
questions for the whole everything,
That's
the
right.
whole sequel trilogy and stuff. There's clones of Luke out there that are fighting each other. Like, I get that that's in Heir of the Empire and that there's
Sure.
that.
Right.
But even that, when I first read Heir of the Empire and I read that, I thought,
What?
there's a clone of Luke. Interesting. And what they came up with was his name is Luke. like, could you imagine if Ryan
Luke.
Johnson was like, we have Mark Hamill back, and we're doing this whole thing, and Mark Hamill's given the best Luke Skywalker performance he's ever given. He's acting
Yeah.
his butt off. But we're going to introduce a clone, and his name will be Luke. And all it is we just add an extra U in his
U.
name. And it's an original idea. People are like, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. So
He's gonna
again,
be
it's all to say it's all
then
perspective, but
He'll be played by
it's just-
Mark Hamlin.
Mark. It's
Yeah.
it's all
Mark
perspective.
Hamill.
There are
Hamill.
good ideas. There are ways the
Hamill.
episode could have been different. There are different things they could have done. But you always have to, in our speculation, what we tried to do at least is speculate what we thought would fit for the Boba Fett show, which is why some of our speculation, as far as like Cad Bane, on the money. We didn't know when he was going to come, and I was even forgot that episode was, that he was the one they were talking about, referring to Stranger from the Desert coming.
And
And
even
then it happens, you're like, oh, that fits perfect to what
Exactly.
was, what it
and
works. but
even any speculation of potentially like Kira or the Crimson
These are
Dawn
crime
showing up was
syndicates.
because they're a crime syndicate, but they've also worked with with Spice and the Pikes.
Spice, the
Right.
Pikes,
Pikes in the
Corellia,
past, so
there were
kinda-
things that tie there. And again, we don't know. There's no official announcement of whether or not what the Boba Fett story is to tell from now on. If there is going to be any, there's no announcement of a season 2.
Yeah.
I think that going into it, everyone assumed this would just be kind of a one season, then
Yeah.
get back on the Mando storyline, which totally could be that we'll get more Boba Fett in the Mando storyline, or it could be all of Boba Fett for now, and then they decide in the future what to do with, if there's more to explore there or what they want to do. But yeah, it's always remember that it has to serve the purpose of the story being told.
I always think, could you imagine if my mom was a Hollywood movie star?
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I can imagine. It just didn't happen. Right? Yeah, it would have been cool.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
Can you imagine if Luke showed up with a clone? Yeah. Didn't happen.
Didn't happen. That's not
This
happening.
is like that.
Yeah.
This is now.
Totally.
Yeah,
This is
sure.
now history.
This is what happened.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool? Can you imagine if Abraham Lincoln wasn't assassinated? Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Change a lot of stuff.
Didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
So it's in the books. We can say it'd be cool if it did, but
That's how we try to approach, at least I know a lot of different people with their shows and podcasts approach Star Wars differently. We try to approach it with a positive aspect because we love this stuff, but also we try to approach the story that's told and really look at what's being told to us. And like you said, and we like to approach it as a living history document. Like
That's right.
when something is done by us, Disney's the one in charge and Lucasfilm's the one in charge now of Star Wars. When something hits the big screen or hits the books or even hits the comics that they're like, this is official canon, my first thing is not that was
I don't
a mistake.
agree.
I don't agree.
Right.
It's not up for me to agree.
I
I can like things more than others. I can be like, oh, that's
Exactly.
not my favorite decision they've
I'm trying to
made.
think as the story has already been told. You're just
But
hearing
it's
it
not.
for the first time.
It's not
That's
that
right.
I,
It's
as a
already happened.
fan who have no ownership of the character, tell them like that was wrong. You don't know. It's a character. You don't know what they were.
Right.
You don't know what Luke's gonna be as a 60-year-old versus when he was 19. He's gonna be different.
Mhm.
Boba is older now and has gone through some stuff. If he had his entire experience of almost dying and all of this stuff, and all he did was go back and go like, well, where was I? And just go back to his old job, you'd be like, did you not? I mean, like if any of us had a friend who had a very dangerous job
like Boba, you gotta,
and he
you gotta
and he
put this down,
almost
man.
died, and we all thought he died, and he awoke from a coma essentially, and then it was like,
Where's my
well,
mama?
I need to go back to work. You're like, well, you need to rethink your job.
give it a
we,
minute.
as your friend, we don't
give it.
give it. Do you think that this is the smartest thing, especially if you have idiots as your boss?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So
or slugs.
that's
as
why I
your
think
boss.
it. I think that the whole story is just it
Literal
worked for me.
slugs.
Slugs, yeah, literal slugs.
I recommend you live with the Sand People for a while and sort out a few things.
That's what we tell our friends.
I would
Yeah.
say
Yes.
you should
Yeah.
go home and rethink your life.
I think your life.
I
You don't wanna tell me
this.
I don't want to say this. Go home and rethink your life.
We're getting soft in your old age.
I
Now I
love
just sound like
Cad
Sam Elliott. Core is the
Sam
banquet
Elliott.
here.
Yeah,
Is the best ever.
So great. So
love it.
we touched on this a little bit. The ending. Where does this leave Mando and Grogu? Because obviously they're going somewhere. They didn't stick around,
Mhm.
so they've got something in mind. I mean, he's got somewhere he's
They-
going.
Yep.
Mando's going somewhere. Where could it be? Is it pushing towards? I mean, Mando season 3. Is it pushing towards that to Mandalore, or? I mean, obviously we didn't
They-
get any clear like cliffhanger or
Right.
anything.
They
But
definitely got to step up their theme song game. I know that much.
Mando has to now.
Mando has to get his name in that theme song.
It has to be.
It's not going to be the same. Grogu is in there.
You get the big the woo the Mando like kind of chime like whistle thing, and then just
Right.
Mando. Say Mando as many times as possible.
Mando.
Mando. It's just the Batman.
That's what it is.
Mando.
Mando.
Mando
Off
Man.
the rails. Our
Grogu.
podcast is.
He said Mando.
I think that they are off us. They're gonna have some more some shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Some
Yeah.
some hijinks coming our way. No, I don't. I think I still think the long story arc is that I think Mando's gonna step into that Mandalorian,
Yeah.
and they're gonna have confrontation with Bo-Katan or coming together somehow. That's gonna fit in there.
He
'Cause
is
that
the
dark-
Mandalorian. Is he gonna take on? Is it him pursuing the title, the Mandalorian?
I think with the
He is
dark
the one.
saber and the attitude and the fact that you don't
the
want to
chosen one.
lead is what makes you.
Like rightful
The
leader.
fact that
That's
you
the right-
don't want
yeah.
to be. That's all that discussion is going on. I think he's
Yeah.
the perfect one to step into that. I think he'll be thrust back to Mandalore for something. Don't we all want to see live action Mandalore?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
We got to. I think
Prediction?
it's.
huge.
Prediction.
Is it a Boba Bett or a Mando maybe? Because now we're
Mando
verging
maybe.
on the edge of-
Mando
Oh.
mandatory.
Mandatory. It better
We
happen.
demand this. Yeah.
We demand.
Mando to Mando.
Mando. Mando to Mando. That is hilarious. And by the way, this would be great when it's when we get Delando Calrissian and we Deland. I don't know. It's off the rails. Demando.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Demando.
Well, I was saying, going off, I think we've mentioned this before, at least I think I have, is he'll go to Mandalore, right? At some point. To the waters beneath the caves or the mines or whatever they said.
The
Oh,
Mines
he
of
will.
Moria.
Mines of Moria.
My cousin Balin will give a royal welcome.
I think he'll,
Ripe on the bone. And Mando's
he's
like,
gonna,
Rancor, ripe on the bone.
out of the waters, out of the waters,
Sorry.
Oh,
It's a
man.
serious moment. Go ahead.
out of the waters comes a frozen in the ice deep below.
Jeff Goldblum.
Is a
Sorry,
mythosaur.
Sure.
Mythosaur.
Mythosaur frozen
Oh,
in the
right.
depths of Mandalore.
He rides the
Whoa.
great
I don't know,
mythosaur.
I'm just kidding.
Wow.
But no, I was gonna say
This
he
is the
goes
way.
there and actually finds some more information. I think I've mentioned that before, but I feel like he's gonna find out some more information about Mandalore, the history of Mandalore, because he clearly is left in the dark. The armorer knows way more than Mando does.
Right.
He clearly has no idea what's going on about any Mandalore stuff. Doesn't even know the history from the Thousand Tears, Night of a Thousand Tears, which wasn't that
Come
long
on,
ago.
we all knew the Night of a Thousand Tears.
mean-
I mean, we all knew about it.
Right.
No, but I just
Why'd
he just
that turn
does
into Chris
nothing.
Berman? Back on.
No, but he just seems like he just hasn't been told anything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's the Bo-Katan.
It's
Oh,
yeah.
you're so cute. He's a child of the watch.
Child
He's
of
so
the
sweet.
watch.
Look,
Right.
he believes it all.
Yeah, when we can
He's
see
pretty- he's
pretty
Bo-Katan
naive. He
and
really is pretty
Casca
When do we see
Reeves.
Sabine? Ahsoka show?
Ahsoka? Well,
Oh,
that's
man.
confirmed in the
they're
Ahsoka
gonna
show.
I
bring
know,
him-
but I mean,
They'll bring them back together too.
will we see Sabine before then, though? Is it possible we see an introduction to Sabine in Mando, and that's a big
Well,
surprise?
Can everything? Can
here's-
all of these lead back to Mandalore?
So this
I
is the
think
big
so.
question.
All of these.
I think so.
So this is the big question. You asked what's going to happen first. Let's take a 1 minute to look at the landscape of Star Wars right now, because we got the day we're recording this, we actually got an official announcement as far
That's
as
true,
when
right.
Kenobi's coming out. Because
True. Not.
I was texting
May
with
the
some
4th.
friends earlier today and we said, I can't believe, like, so excited of what just happened, especially because if we remember going into any speculation before Book of Boba, so I was kind of like, oh, a Boba Fett show. I like Boba Fett. Like, I'm excited, but I wasn't like, this is my Obi-Wan. This is my, like, it was
Right.
kind of like,
yeah.
great, I'm excited for this. We'll see. If you think about our expectations for the show and where it ended up, to me, I was excited for it. It exceeded. I know some people were like, "Oh, it just didn't meet my expectations."
I
I'm
would've
like, "What
never
expectations? Did you think that
episode
he'd be riding a
chapter
Rancor
6.
and all
Boba
this
is
stuff?"
a complete unknown. That's what made
Yeah.
it so interesting.
Right.
It's a blank slate for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, overall, and this was just a little tangent, but overall, it exceeded my expectations for it, or at least met them. Like I'm
I
very
agree.
satisfied with the Boba Fett story
I
we
agree.
got and how it tied
Yeah.
to the bigger picture.
Right.
But now that concluded today. Now they announced
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi series comes out. We predicted we thought it would be either. I know there's some people that thought it'd be May 4th because that's a Wednesday,
Yeah.
or later in May. So what they chose was May 25th, and that is the 45th anniversary of Star Wars: A New Hope coming out. It's also the day before Star Wars Celebration. So they released the episode Star Wars Celebration. They can have the whole cast come out.
Yeah.
It makes sense that they can actually
Man.
engage with them.
Will we
where
be there?
No, we missed the
Darn it.
cutoff. Well,
Do they know that we have 186 subscribers? We should probably
186?
Do we?
I don't know.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm gonna
We're going
embarrass
up.
us. It's going down.
182.
Everyone unsubscribed.
Oh, there
Four
you
people
go.
left. Darn it. 80. 79. No.
No, darn
Stop
you.
it.
It was the whole.
One of them's Kathy. She's like, I'm out of here.
This is. Robert didn't like that. We didn't like the slow
Oh,
spin.
right.
She's
That's
like,
a-
oh, those Star Wars guys.
the
No,
Star Wars
thank you.
guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Day before. Yeah. That's
Day
a
before
perfect
is when it comes
celebration.
out. Also, the reason I believe that May 4th is not happening is because the Marvel series Moon Knight,
Moon
I
Knight.
believe, will still be airing, and I know they're trying to not have any of their live action shows overlap each other because then they're competing against itself. They're competing against themselves for
Yeah.
views where they want all the attention on a Marvel thing, then a Star Wars, then a Marvel, then a Star Wars. But
Makes
all the
sense.
stuff we got on the slate, we
I'll
just
allow
had
it.
Boba.
I'll allow it.
May 25th, we have Kenobi series. Somewhere in there, we have Bad Batch. I don't know the
Early
exact
March.
date. Early
Wasn't
March.
it March 5th? I thought.
So I thought
you saw
they said that, and then
something.
I looked it up, and it looks like something's been like announcement was retracted. So I don't know if that's
Ooh.
that would work because they don't have anything right now
Right.
leading up to
That
May
would
Star
give
Wars
'em-
wise.
That
Yeah.
would give them basically 12 episodes
Yeah,
before May 25th.
before May
Yeah.
25th.
Because they would
Yeah.
have all of March, all of April.
Was it-
most of May?
Do we know how many
11,
episodes it
12.
was last? Was it 16?
I think so, but they
16 was
they
4
also
months.
started with like 2 on the first
So the
day,
first
or
day.
2
Yeah,
or 3 on
that's
the
true.
first day. Or
They
something
do
like
that sometimes. Yeah.
So
So
it could be
it could do that.
close,
Yeah.
yeah.
but they'd be ending.
So then,
Yeah.
so Bad Batch, Kenobi. Then we have Andor. The big news of this week was that
Right.
Andor season 2 is already beginning
Yeah.
production. So they're already so confident in Andor
Wow.
and it not being a limited series,
Yeah.
which I think Andor's gonna have a very different feel as far as
I agree.
it's gonna be that spy thriller. Even just the way it's edited,
Right.
everything. It's not a
Yeah.
Favreau Filoni show. Even though I love Favreau and Filoni.
Who's running that? Who's
This
running
is
that?
gosh, there's a couple of I think Gilroy, Tony Gilroy, who I believe worked on Rogue One, is in charge of a lot of it, and I think maybe the showrunner from the TV show The Americans, which I've never seen, but it's like the Russian spy, Soviet Union spy show starring
Okay.
Kerry Russell.
What show?
The Americans.
The American. Okay, yeah, I've heard of it.
I think it's off the air now, but it was like on. As
they were
recent
like
as just a few years
Russians
ago.
in America.
Yeah.
Spy. Yeah.
I think one of the head writers and one of the people that I know for at one point they were attached to it. I don't know if they've left
Sure.
the project or not. But Andor is coming in the fall, is what they announced. And then Ahsoka somewhere. I think Ahsoka might be early 2023, if I were to guess, because I know they had officially announced that Ahsoka would begin filming this coming spring, so this current spring. But there's then rumors
There's
now
rumors
that
that
Mando
Mando's
season
coming
3,
in
which has
December.
already
December.
been working on, might be coming in December, like around Christmas time. So
That's the only reason. If Mando season
there's
3
so
comes
much that's
before
coming.
Ahsoka, that's where I could see that, like a Sabine showing up and everyone being surprised because everyone knows Sabine's
That's right.
confirmed for Ahsoka. But if we get the introduction in Mando, like
That'd be
like we
awesome.
did for Bo-Katan live action, and
Mhm.
then we'd be like, oh, well, we knew her character was coming, but now it's a surprise.
Right.
You're able to shock us because we weren't expecting it really to come. We didn't know it was going to happen in Mando.
Yeah.
That'd be something.
we might not
interesting,
have
too.
a
You-
movie on the horizon, but we have in the 1 year
Here's
Boba.
Here's an interesting dilemma,
All
right?
this.
And let's come up with a name for it so we can coin the term.
A dumb dilemma.
A dumb dilemma.
That's
You don't even
just-
know what it is yet.
No.
That might be
Coin.
perfect.
Delightful dilemma.
So no, that's not it either. Oh, maybe.
I'll just wait.
So
actually.
here's the thing, right? So that feeling that we got when we didn't get a new character.
Yeah.
Are we going to be going from episode to episode to episode,
When we literally got a new
trying
character
to
in the episode before.
relive that? Because we're talking about maybe. Because I'm thinking the same thing. Maybe they could come, and maybe they,
That's true.
maybe he comes. Maybe we get Thrawn. We see a little.
Mace is alive.
Yeah, we get Ezra popping in. Are we gonna be going to these shows just
Expecting that.
hoping? Oh, I hope I get,
Mm.
and then we don't. We do. What are we gonna name
Bringing
that
too much
term?
baggage into it. Yeah. Or
I don't know. Anyway, I'm just wondering if that's
It's the Filoni dilemma.
and the reality is
Everyone knows he's tying in his character.
the reality is they're gonna bomb. Something's gonna bomb. Something's gonna bomb. We don't know what it is. They're not all gonna be great. Something is going to stink.
Seismic charge.
What is
something's
it?
going to be nothing but space whales.
What is it?
Space
I think
whales.
it's the droid thing.
the droid tails or whatever.
No,
droid
maybe
tails.
not. I'm just
It'll
saying.
have to be
they
something
all,
big enough to be considered a bomb.
we kind of go. We kind
Droid
of go.
tails can
We've had
bomb or
some-
kill it, and people
We've
won't
had
even
some Mando episodes that were better
Yeah.
than others. That's a Boba episodes
Yeah.
better than others, but they've all been good.
know. Yeah.
Which one is gonna stink?
Which one is going to be the George Lucas ruin? Which one is going to be the? It's going to be
Maybe none of 'em.
Robert Rodriguez ruined my childhood. It's the George,
Yeah,
the people
man.
versus Robert Rodriguez.
This is
Oh,
right.
man.
Rodriguez is like,
I
I'm
already
just trying to
feel
play
bad.
my
What?
guitar and tell a
What?
Boba Fett
Like a
story,
couple
and
of
you coming
movies.
after me.
I gave you Boba on a Rancor. What more do you want?
Yeah.
Loved
Quit
it.
complaining. I'm just saying.
No,
Yeah,
I
are we gonna
agree.
go from episode to episode,
a
season
good
to
point.
season, thinking what it didn't have?
I do think.
Yeah.
Who
Instead
we
of just sit
didn't-
back and
What Easter egg did they not put in? What did we want to?
Yeah.
Who should have been on there? What
It is
cameo?
tough with connecting all these shows, and even Kathleen saying there's a point where these shows are going to connect. Now that kind of expectation is there. It's like, well, this show has to connect somehow.
You know what you
so
think
how's
they
it
ought to
gonna-
do?
How's it going to connect?
I know how to solve it.
he's
I
got
know
the
how to
answer.
solve it.
And then the audio cuts out.
Retcon.
You guys ever
Start
watch?
over.
This
Then
is
the
actually
audio
real.
cuts out.
This is real. You guys ever watch
Our
Bob
listeners get the-
Ross?
Yeah, yeah.
Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob Ross. What's he always say at the beginning? He said, "Let's run all the colors across the screen."
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of the episode, we're gonna run everybody that's gonna be in this across the screen. You don't know when, you don't know how. These are the ones that are in the show. That's it. So
There you go.
you don't
There you
don't go thinking, oh, is Darth Vader gonna be in this one, or
Yeah,
then you just know. Then you can just
Yeah.
relax,
and watch it.
enjoy the show. You can pull out your Boba Fett bingo. Ooh, we're gonna see one of these people, and then you don't have to worry about it.
And then the whole show, it's just Boba every episode, and then you're like, well, this finale is going to be like the Avengers because all
all coming.
30 of these
You
people are
could
coming.
just
And
put
it's
them all in the
just-
cast,
You could put them all in the cast.
except now we know those are wrong.
And it's exactly like people when they say, "Did you find out what was it going to have a boy or a girl? Did you find out early?" And they're like, "Oh, I want to be surprised." Like I was surprised.
Yeah.
I just found out. I was surprised.
I was surprised when
that
when I
day
found
instead
out. It
of
was surprising.
when the baby came out.
Yeah.
Same thing. You'll be surprised. You'll get your sheet. You'll have all the colors across the screen, and you'll know what to expect. And then you can
You'll be
just
surprised.
enjoy the show instead of thinking, "Oh, I hope they."
Yeah,
Maybe that's a terrible idea. It would make me feel after the
at ease. like
after the
watching.
IMDb debacle, as I refer to it, the dark
Talk
times.
about it. The dark
Should we,
times.
now that, because
After
it didn't
that.
come true, can we talk specifics?
Han Solo.
Should
And I
we
said
just-
Han Solo on purpose.
Man.
Should we run it back?
Hell
Except
no,
for this
buddy.
time, you don't cut the audio.
Still save hand. I was just trying to help, old buddy.
Just replay that. This time, we just don't cut the audio.
Yeah, let's do it. So,
The
What-
huge
no, what I-
spoiler.
He's
yeah,
like,
it was
I didn't
on
get into
Internet
that.
Movie Database like 2 weeks before. Picture, Chapter 7.
And
Favreau did it. I know he did it. He did it on purpose.
And I'll say at the same time you were
It
talking
was
about
not
this.
the rumor. It was literally on Internet Movie
Yeah,
Database.
And what's funny though is there was something to that because I told you that you found that you didn't hear any rumor, or you just found something that said on IMDb
Yeah, I
that
was looking for the cast.
he was in
of a different-
episode 7 of
Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
And me not knowing that that's what you found out, I have watched multiple just YouTube videos where I'm just watching like
Talked about
predictions,
him being
and
on
there were a
set.
couple people that were like, "Well, there has been the rumor going around that Harrison Ford was on set." And so I
what?
do think he's coming. I think he would show up. And then we start piecing together where Uncle doesn't want to tell me the secret that he knows. I don't want to tell him
But
what
we're talking about the
I
same
had no
heard.
idea. I thought
But
it was Amelia Clark. the
But
whole
then
time.
after the and I would have loved to see
I know,
it
that's
really
what I
quick.
thought you guys were talking about.
No.
But then when Uncle said, when I knew we were talking about the same person, is when after the Luke episode, Uncle said, I've been wondering how, like when I saw this person's name, I was wondering how, and I didn't know how. After this episode, I do know how
See, I
they would
gave a
do
little
it.
bit of a clue there.
Yeah.
But that didn't give anything away for anyone who didn't already
Yeah.
feel like I was thinking of the same person
Right,
as you.
Right.
All that to say, maybe Harrison Ford's in something else coming forward. But also when I heard that rumor, my initial thought was, really, how do they keep convincing him to do this? Because we know that he's not Mark
How
Hamill.
much are they paying you?
I
Yeah.
think he just plays Han Solo outside, but he secretly loves all of it.
Well,
He just
remember, the
acts like he
longest
doesn't
time
wanna
he
be
just-
around.
Right.
For the longest time, he wanted them to
Well, you get
kill off
softer
Han
in old
Solo.
age.
And
Right.
now that they killed off Han Solo, he's like, well, you killed off. You did what I want. Now I'll come back to do anything.
Now I'll
Now
do
I
it all.
love it. Now I
I'll be
love it.
back.
I'm finally
Well, you
dead.
get soft in your old age. We all do.
Boba.
We all do.
Boba,
Yeah.
do you have a toothpick? I don't have any more of my toothpicks I have in the Clone Wars, Boba.
I love your teeth.
Boba.
Who's gonna be
So
doing that
great.
all the time?
No, that would have been absolutely nuts though if he showed up.
I don't see how it would even
But-
fit.
That's what I kept
2
wanting
minutes
too,
in,
is
I was like,
No shot.
I don't see how this is going to fit in.
Han just gonna come
Whose
out
side
of
is
the
he on?
bar or something and just start firing.
That's the same
yeah.
Luke problem. Whose
Yeah.
side is he on? He can't
'Cause
be.
he's not friends
Yeah.
with.
Those
he's
are
not friends
Pikes
with
out.
He's
Boba.
against all of them. He's by himself. Yeah.
Mhm.
He's definitely against the
Didn't make
Pikes with his
sense.
Corellian
Right.
background and what they've done
He's
in
against
Corellia.
Boba.
He's against he's
He's-
against Boba,
Boba would
obviously.
try to kill him.
Yeah.
He made him worse than Bane. Cat Bane.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe it's best
Interesting.
it didn't go that way. We'll see.
But it does make you wonder if that is tied to something else because he doesn't. Harrison Ford doesn't seem like the guy that would just be like, yeah, I'm gonna come on set, hang out.
Yeah, he doesn't feel like they just want to hang
They're
around.
not paying him.
seem
He's
like
not
that.
showing
No.
up.
No.
Yeah. We'll see.
I
We'll
mean,
see.
they're all filming this stuff all at the same time. Maybe there's
Yeah.
Could be for Mando season 3.
could be for Mando season 3.
It could very well be for Mando season 3 because one exciting thing about Mando season 3 is we have no idea what is coming. As far as we don't even know the basis of not just where like the first 2 episodes. We don't know even what is the next immediate thing. We
Let's-
said
Yeah.
possibly
Possibly-
Mandalore, but
Let's speculate really quickly. What about season 2 of Boba Fett?
You mean just is there
if
a
it's
season
coming.
2?
Maybe that's what this is for. Maybe that's
Could
what
be.
that's what he was there for. So they had it all right. It's not this season. It's used
Yeah.
somewhere else.
It does kind of feel like kind of the
The
behind
connection
the
is
scenes
with
that we
Boba Fett.
saw-
It's not with Mando. His connection is with
Sure.
Boba Fett.
And the behind the scenes that we saw with Mark Hamill talking about how the whole original trilogy was me becoming this Jedi, and that's
And then
it.
it
Now
ended.
this is kind of Boba becoming the crime lord and,
And then it
getting
just
to this point,
stops.
and then it just stops. He won the war, and that's it. Now we don't get to see him. I kind of want to see him as a crime lord. Is he still the type of guy that, even though he's not a bounty hunter himself, is he still going to hire bounty hunters to go take people out that crossed him in the wrong way?
Right, right.
You know what I mean? Or is
Yeah.
that even that or not something
Well,
he's into?
Well, why couldn't it be Harrison Ford older? Why
Yeah.
couldn't it be?
you mean for
Why do they have to
for just a
de-age
different
him?
project?
No, for Boba Fett season 2.
I guess it would depend on what's
Just
the
the time-
age.
Because
of
all they would
period.
have to do is, I mean, they
Boba
wouldn't-
would have to just
they
be a
wouldn't-
lot older.
They wouldn't need to
Right.
make him 20.
Yeah.
Right.
They just need to make him not 80.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he still would be 40 some, 50
Just
some.
less than Force Awakens, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
He'd just be anywhere between Force Awakens
And they could get there.
and
They could get there
and
pretty-
obviously Return of the
It
Jedi.
wouldn't have to be a 20-year-old, Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
So I'm just, and the connection, boy, what is it that Han Solo would bring? What would Boba Fett need? What would that stir up? What would that be? I don't know. There's a lot there, I guess.
Could be.
He's gotta come back to do the Kessel Run. He's going back after the Pikes.
I saw
Boba
someone.
calls him in and said, I know you've done it before.
It doesn't feel like I don't know.
I
It
saw.
Nah, I don't know.
doesn't feel like you can open that can and finish that.
I
in
saw
one
a good
episode.
a good proposal by Nate, do you know Robert Meyer Burnett? He's on John Campia's show sometimes.
Yeah.
The other guy. He said he was talking about, this is when everyone was talking about Bryce Dallas Howard, and he said what I would do. He said, I've thought about this. He said I would tell everyone wants this Solo 2 to happen, or at least a continuation of the Solo storyline. Here's how I would do Solo 2. I would do a Solo 2 in the style of Godfather 2, and I would have it be. There's an old Harrison Ford and a young Harrison Ford.
Yeah, that's a perfect way
and
to do it.
you get all, you can have Alden in it or a DH Harrison Ford as far as what you want to do with the younger stuff. You can do Alden because that works with what they've done.
Yeah.
But you can also utilize the actors that are still there. Billy D. You still got you still got Harrison.
You can start from where
But
it
you
is.
can tell this story of Kira and Maul and all of this stuff back then, but also still utilize, if people are worried that one of the things that people were missing from the Solo movie, or like critics of the Solo movie, were like, it was Solo, but there's no Harrison Ford, and we attach Harrison Ford to Han Solo so much
That's exactly right.
that you can still do that, and you don't have to choose one or the other. You do that, and there's flashes in time. The way Godfather is constantly, it's in the constant storyline, and Godfather 2, constant storyline. And how do you
masterpiece?
Yeah. Oh
Two.
gosh,
And, yeah.
masterpiece. And like, how do we?
They don't
What
even
do we do
say
that?
anything. It just
Yeah.
another time. Sometimes it's just the other time.
It
You
just starts going.
So
Yeah.
good.
And
Wow.
just like, how do you get past
That'd be a great way to do it.
an old Vito Corleone? You go to a young Vito Corleone. Old Han Solo, you get to the young Han Solo, and you're telling
Yeah.
some Flash. You can get some Billy D and some Donald Glover, both.
Both
You
of
can get,
those.
there's a lot there. You can get Chewie young and Chewie old. He's the same.
Man,
He's the same.
150, 180. It's the same.
It's the same.
It's the same.
You look
Uh,
great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But all I'd say, a lot of Star Wars coming. We should, before we wrap the episode, just thoughts overall on the season.
episode?
On
Yeah,
the
season.
season. Of just like, you came into it, what did you expect? Meet expectations, exceed it? How
I
was
think
your,
you kinda
was
hit
your
it.
feeling?
Right on the head is, it exceeded my expectations. I mean, I didn't, aside from episode to episode, the season as a whole surpassed any expectations that I had. I didn't have any idea didn't even think at the beginning of a Boba Fett show that Luke would be coming back, that
No.
Ahsoka would be coming back,
Right.
we'd be seeing Boba riding Rancors. I mean, I didn't expect any of that. So seeing all of that already initially is beat anything I thought would happen. So, and like you kind of mentioned earlier, Boba is such a mysterious character before this. We didn't know really anything about him much. So everything felt, even though we had a perception of what Boba Fett was like, it all still felt new and fresh because it built off of what we had idea of what Boba Fett was, but then seeing his character grow and develop throughout that, and then getting all these other pieces thrown in there, Luke and them, felt like it just was a lot of stuff I didn't expect, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
I liked it too. The one thing that I was hoping to see was a little bit more of Boba's story before the Rancor pit. We didn't
Or
get
before the
before Return of the Jedi.
before Sarlacc pit?
Like before, like
Uh,
a little
Sarlacc
bit
pit,
more of him
yeah.
as a bounty hunter.
Before the Sarlacc pit, yeah.
And then we get to see
Yeah,
that
a
full
little more
transition.
Bounty Hunter days.
Some of the
Yeah.
some of the
totally.
some of the adventures that
liked
he
that.
had before.
See him on a
Sure.
job for Vader or something,
Yeah,
doing
where that
working
was
with
shaping.
Bosker, working with
Yeah.
Like we started from the Sarlacc
Totally.
pit, and that was the beginning point.
Yeah.
And I get it. We flash back to moments from that point, but we saw a little bit of young Boba. Never resolved those things.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that
And
he's
Cad
shaped
Bane.
by that.
Cad Bane even called him out as a cold-blooded killer who worked with the Empire.
That's
What
right.
if we saw
I
some
would
of
have
that?
loved
those
to have
jobs?
seen. I mean,
So a young
there was,
job with
there's
Cad
not.
Bane.
I
or
mean, there
something.
isn't any
Yeah.
reason. I mean, technically, there's no reason why we couldn't have had a Boba Fett encounter where he first meets Darth Vader
Yeah.
and how he became connected to the Empire and how he
Yeah.
got those jobs. And we have to see him on a job, but
Yeah.
we saw these
How he became
flashes.
the number one bounty hunter.
Yeah, how did Boba Fett become Boba Fett? Where did it start? I mean, we know that, but like
Right.
the
You wanted
handing
to
of
see the faith.
armor
You
and
want to see
all
the faithful Wookiee live action.
how he
You
goes
wanna see
from
him with the
young
mythos.
Boba and the adventures
Makes
on
the jump.
how
Yeah,
how that
Totally.
how he
with Cad Bane
pushed
as a
him-
mentor to
Where
where
did he
we see
become
him.
Where did he become a bounty hunter, full on man,
Yeah.
from the boy that we
Interesting.
knew, and because of his father and all that had to do with it. I think that would have
Yeah.
been cool to see, but again, that's not what happened.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
and maybe
I'm
that
with
could
you
be
though
something
there.
that does happen somewhere
Maybe.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm with you. I would say if there was one thing.
I
He
just had a
needs.
thought.
They tease. He needs the back to tank again.
I just had a thought, right? So it's called the Book of Boba Fett, right? The Book of Boba Fett. We don't have to tell. Season 2 doesn't have to be
a continuation.
a continuation. It could be what happened before.
Yeah.
That could very easily be the story
And it's
we
funny
tell.
you said that.
It's true,
because
yeah.
So-
my first thought watching this chapter, when he mentions his dad, when he mentions Django,
I just think there's
my
so much
first
more
thought
there.
was,
Yeah.
I would love to see Django and Cad Bane like prequel. Like, give me if Cad Bane's actually dead, and people want to see more live action.
we can
Cad
always
Bane,
go back and see it.
Go back and show us some younger Cad Bane with Django.
Right.
I'm like, because obviously there's
Yeah.
history there. Like that's
Well,
that
the
would be
reality
sweet.
is that they shoot a lot of the Mando stuff. That's not they've got a double. It's not
Yeah.
double.
Yeah.
Boba Fett never took his. We could do a whole
Right.
set of stuff where Tamara Morrison's voice.
But
We've got young, fit.
Totally.
Yeah.
Looks just like
Boba.
Empire. Yeah.
right,
We know we have Darth Vader,
Mhm.
also in a costume. There, you could do Cad Bane. It could totally work if we just go back and tell those stories. That could be
Yeah.
another set of chapters in this book.
yeah,
I'm with you. I think that while I'm happy with what we got, one thing that I would say if I could have added something to it would have been that I liked the use of the flashbacks. I would have liked to see different time periods with the flashbacks, like you said,
Yeah.
of like
More than just a boy,
more than just
old man.
and
It
with
really
the
was
boy
just-
and with the boy it was just small glimpses teasing like that this was an instrumental time, his father's leaving, seeing him shaped by this time period.
I would love to see
It
more on
teased-
Camino.
teased- it just is a good also
A lot
reminder
there.
of him
Yeah.
being a clone. It's like those types of just kind of
do we have a
theme, but
Yeah.
not
Right.
really a big scene or anything like that. Like we got obviously we got a lot with the Tuscan
Yeah.
time period,
Sure.
which I do think was
They needed
important. They
that.
needed it, especially for the growth of what he has and how he defeats
Right.
Cad
That's
Bane
right.
in the end. But if this show, I would say if I could get 3 more episodes of this show, that would have. I think instead of 7, you get 10. Even though it's not like it would be a better show. I think it was a great show.
Right.
With 3 more episodes, you would be able to tell a couple of more of those stops in between of with the flashbacks. Here's instrumental because in order to also build up, I think, the big transformation, they could remind you of who Boba was. Like obviously we know who Boba is, but he was very minimal in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
What we think of Boba is really who we built up Boba in our mind based off of the minimal stuff we
All
got
the
from.
other adventures he
But
had.
if they actually showed you a couple of like, oh, by the way, here's him beating out all these other bounty hunters on this job, and he's had run-ins with Chris
Mythosaur.
Anthony. He's had run-ins. Yeah,
They
he's
tease
done
the
some
story.
of this stuff in his prime where he is not all about others. He's about himself. He's about money. He's about the job, and he's just ruthless.
Right.
You give even one episode where you show one job that he goes on like that,
Yeah.
then you also would have 1 or 2 more episodes where you can, I think, flesh out a little bit more of what happens. Not that it's always hard to end a show after the big battle.
Yeah.
This was something I remember seeing an interview of. It was an interview on YouTube of George R.R. Martin, who wrote Game of Thrones, and he
Mhm.
just talks about Tolkien influenced so much of his writing.
Mhm.
And he said where he and Tolkien differ is that George R. R. Martin loves the tiny little intricate details of. He said, what I love about Tolkien is we know all about the races and like the
Sure.
different things, but I never knew what the tax brackets were in the Shire. He's like, that fascinated him. He's like, I want to know what the actual politics of like different regions and stuff were.
Mhm.
And he said that his favorite part of Lord of the Rings was the end in the books of the when they defeat Sauron and come back to the Shire and it's overtaken, and Saruman and there's the hobbits have to defend the Shire
Mm-hmm.
and show the aftermath of the aftermath of the battle.
Yep.
The big battle happens doesn't mean that there's peace everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Now it's the big bad government's been taken down, like we've seen in the actual sequel trilogy. Is
Right.
like just because the
Or in
Empire's
Mando.
gone,
Factions
or in
are still there.
Mando,
Mhm.
just because the big government's gone
There's-
doesn't mean everything's good. It would be nice to have seen an episode or just a little bit of, okay, we defeated the Pikes, and now I'm going to rule. And I've had all these ideals of what I would like to be as a ruler, but so far he has never been able to get the families on his
Mhm.
side. Even at this moment of this show, the major families all betrayed him, so he never
Yeah.
really got him on their side.
It just seemed like the civilians around were just
But
like,
the
oh,
civilians-
thanks for saving us.
But the civilians came to his aid, which is I actually meant to. This is my last thought on this. Meant to mention this earlier. Ties back into the Rise of Skywalker, which Rise of Skywalker. There are more of us, Poe. There are more of us, and they're like, who is it? And they're like, it's just people.
Mhm.
And like one big theme of the show too is that just the average person. It ties back to Phantom Menace. Ma,
Yeah.
you always say one of the biggest problems in this galaxy is that no one looks out for each other. No one helps each
Sure.
other.
Mhm.
And when the people of
can
Freetown
help you.
come around the corner, it's not big bad Cobb Vanth who's their big leader. It's the bartender and all of these guys.
It's
It's
not
like
Luke
it's just
Skywalker
people.
with a laser
Yeah.
sword.
Right.
It's just the people who are like,
Right.
hey, we're not gonna leave you out to dry.
Yeah.
But yeah, all I'd say it would be cool to see a little bit after.
If
too.
I could throw out season 2, I would say
I go on long rants.
season 1. No, those are good. Season 1 is the story of Boba Fett becoming a crime lord. Season 2 is Boba Fett becoming a bounty hunter. That's the path we see in
Yeah.
season 2. If
Mm.
you want to make that, I would love to see that.
Was that to Kathy you were talking about?
Yeah, whoever.
You said Kathy if you were like
Yeah.
Is this an official Boba Fett?
No, I don't think it's a bad.
This
I don't
is
think
a-
they're gonna do that.
Amanda
Right,
Demanda.
but that would be cool.
If Favreau would, wouldn't he love that?
Yeah.
You'd love it.
I think
Yeah.
it would, and then now it's like fair game. I think we could tell those if we
Yeah.
could take those comic book stories where he has has interaction with Luke, all of that stuff, how he meets Darth Vader,
Yeah.
how he gets wrapped up with Han Solo, and those stuff that happens behind.
Yeah.
I think that would be those
There's,
stories. Or those are the Boba
Yeah.
Fett stories that I've always dreamed about. I never dreamed about what would happen after.
Yeah.
Right.
I always was thinking about what he was doing
What he came
Yeah.
from.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
You
are
were
things
you
that
were
I was
you were
interested in.
wondering what was happening behind the scenes that we were missing.
How did he
And
get
what-
on
how
the?
did he get
how-
that?
What
How
did he do
get
before he
that?
took this job? What was he
Yes.
doing before that?
Yeah. Totally.
Those are the stories.
it
You
was
would've liked
never.
more
It
of
was
those
never.
gaps
Did he
filled in.
survive the Starlight Pit? It was
No.
what. This is a cool character. What was his background?
Yeah, how did he get that? Where did he come from? And we get a little bit of that with Django and stuff, but there's so much more there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I agree.
That would be
Yeah.
kind of, and there's a lot of room there
I
on
think there's a
season
lot
2.
of room with Django too. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
if they'd ever do that too, but
I just think the
Django's
helmets
very mysterious.
the
in a way,
helmets make
too.
it
He's a
easy to set
foundling or
the
something.
time. You don't have to de-age anybody. Just put
Yeah.
a different guy in the suit. Now you can tell the whole story.
Right.
Yeah. Especially because
Add the
classic.
voice.
I mean I know
You can do it.
Django was taking his helmet off. It seemed like a decent amount, but Boba in the original trilogy, we didn't see him take. And again,
And we
we
know what he
barely
looks
saw
like.
him.
We
but
wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
you could. You could.
you could. You could
in
also
those
do it in a
moments,
way
you could
that yeah,
just-
yeah,
Right.
totally,
I
We'll
agree.
see.
Well,
yeah.
We did make a promise to talk about
true.
We did.
Let's
We've got a
address that
fan,
before we wrap
Galaxy's
it up.
Edge.
Yep. So, first of all, thank you for all of you who reach out with direct messages to us saying that you enjoy the podcast, you hate the podcast. Hey, as long as we're hearing from you, we don't really
Right.
care what the response. No,
We do care.
if you do hate the podcast, honestly, keep it to yourself. But this one, so
Don't be hating.
Sam reached out to us on Instagram.
Sam, shout out Sam.
Thank you for watching, listening to the podcast. Here's the message, and here's what we'll close the podcast with today.
I like it. And not just today, but the wrap up of the Book of Boba Fett review.
This is our little stamp at the end of the Book of Boba
Yeah.
Fett, the book report of Boba Fett.
Our epilogue.
Epilogue.
right.
Yeah, there you go.
Our post-credit.
This is our post credit scene. It's
Roll-
about
go ahead,
Galaxy's
roll the
Edge and it
credits.
has nothing to do. This is our Luke moment. It has
Nothing to do with
Hi Nate, Mike, and Uncle! Exclamation point. Very excited about Uncle.
Yeah.
Did he say I know him well?
You can just tell they know him well. I have been a longtime listener of your podcast, and I love you guys. Awesome. Thank you very much. The weekly episode breakdowns are some of my favorites. My dad and I have finally been able to book a trip this April to go to Galaxy's Edge. Jealous, because we went to Galaxy's Edge a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And Uncle just went. So this is why it's going to be a great question for him.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you guys could let me know what you thought your must-dos were so I can make sure that I get reservations for us. Thanks. Any tips are much appreciated, Sam. Well, thank you for that, Sam. And, yeah, we had an experience,
For
obviously,
sure.
with Galaxy's Edge. Great experience. But Uncle, there's no one. I mean, you know
He's
him
now been
well.
multiple times.
You know him well, but if you really know him well, you would know that he just came back from Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
So, Uncle,
Second
if you want to.
showing too.
I still got a
Second
sunburn
time.
from Bantu.
That's
Bright
right.
sun.
No,
Do you
I
know
don't.
why? Bright sun.
Bright sun.
So, Uncle, do you want to start this off? Any must-dos?
Yeah.
or
Does he
favorites?
say they're going to Galaxy's Edge, Orlando?
Galaxy's Edge. No specifics.
Is a Galaxy? Is it called Galaxy's Edge in
It is.
California?
It
It's
is.
probably Florida though.
There are both. We went to the one in.
We'll go with that.
LA.
We went to the one in Disneyland.
I
LA.
can't speak to the one in Disneyland.
It's actually all
Sam.
Star Trek in Disneyland.
It is.
Yeah. They call it Frontiers Edge. No.
Frontier's Edge.
No. I ignore what I'm saying.
Yeah, we just got back, and we did spend several days at Galaxy's Edge. You gotta do Smuggler's Run, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure you do that.
The Falcon, flying the Falcon.
Tell you what you gotta do first. Rise of the Resistance. You have to do, which these guys haven't done
Ooh,
yet.
well, these guys.
You have to
haven't
do it,
done
or else
yet.
you're gonna be one of these losers hosting
Yeah,
a
don't be
podcast
one of
over
these.
here.
We have gone. If you're watching right now, I would get on the website and try to book a Savvy's Workshop lightsaber build.
Yes.
I can
'Cause you
tell
can-
you though, if you're going in April, it's going to be close.
You got to get out ahead of it.
Yeah.
The first time we scheduled, so we were going January, and I scheduled our Savvy's build in October, and I couldn't get it on Sunday. I had to get it on Monday of our trip. So the first day was booked, and it was 7 p.m. was the first available one, and that was like
So yeah,
October,
these are
November,
booked
December,
months out,
January.
yeah.
So 3 months out.
So you'll want to get on this stuff ASAP.
Yep.
So if you want to build a lightsaber, that to me that experience is the best experience of the whole trip. It's fantastic. It's a 20-minute.
is.
It's a 20-minute or
great.
so show.
So much more than you would expect.
Music synchronized. History of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very
Awesome.
well done.
It'll make you cry. So good.
Yeah.
Try to book that. I still have not gotten into Olga's Cantina.
Me
Can't
neither.
get a
we-
reservation.
it was-
can't
it was booked.
even
We-
get in. I don't even know how to do it.
Yeah.
Back when we did it, you had to make the reservations where they would open it the day of,
day
or
of?
at a time, and someone would come around and go at 7 o'clock or at 6 o'clock in the morning. This will open up, and you have to get on this app
Same
and,
for
and-
Savvy's.
and do it.
man.
Yeah.
And we sign up for Savvy's, bang, we look, and within a minute, completely booked for the full
God.
day. So it was tough then, but I know they're, like you said, you're booking stuff
Now you
ahead
can
of time, so
book
it'll be
it
tough.
out so far in advance now too that it's
right.
yeah. So yeah, definitely looking.
That
in
was our experience with Rise of the Resistance this time. The first time they went, you had a virtual queue. You could sign up, and then they would give you a launch time, and you would show up in that launch time, and then you'd get in line. So even though you have a launch window, you would show up and still wait an hour. This time, the launch queue was gone, and you basically get on and reserve your try to get a spot early. If you're willing to wait in line, you can Rise of the Resistance is usually a 2-hour wait. That's
Wow.
about the lowest we saw.
Wow.
Up to 3 hours. So you can wait in line and do it. The other option is they have a thing called Genie Plus now, which I spent a lot of time researching all this stuff. Genie Plus is replace their old Lightning Lane thing, and you can pay to get on to certain rides throughout the day by reserving a space. They also have Genie Plus, what they call special rides. This is where you pay for the Genie Plus service, but you can also then, if you don't do that, you can pay for individual rides to go to the front of the line. Rise of the Resistance is one of those rides. So if you pay for the Genie Plus service, doesn't include this. You pay per ride. It's $15 to get to the Lightning Lane, which is still a little bit of a wait. So if you want to cut the line down, that thing you got to sign up for that as soon as the park opens. Unless you're staying in a Disney hotel, then you can sign up at 7 a.m. on the day of the visit, which is the best way. Because we tried to sign up at 9 o'clock for that. I was going to pay for us to all ride it. And within 40 seconds, it was gone.
My gosh.
So if you're staying in a Disney hotel, get up at 7, pay for Rise of Resistance. Otherwise, buckle up and wait the 2 or 3 hours to ride it. Yeah. It is the best theme park ride I've ever been on. It is an adventure. I think it's 18 minutes long.
Oh, man.
18 minutes long, multiple locations within the ride. I don't want to give it away. If you want to know what it's like, you can go and see it on YouTube. There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
There's live action interaction with actual Star Wars characters where you interact and
Wow.
There's a little bit of a 3D ride. There's a little bit of a coaster ride kind of a thing, but it's fantastic. So definitely ride Rise of Resistance. Here's what I would do. Okay. This is my advice for you. First thing, go to Galaxy's Edge. Be there at least a half an hour before the park opens and get in line. It being April, you may have to get there earlier than that. Everybody, if you got multiple days, everybody's going to go to Rise of Resistance. Don't do that the first day. The first day, go to Smuggler's Run. That's what we did. We got in. We went to Rise of Resistance. It was full. We turned around and walked to Smuggler's Run, and we walked right on. You could probably ride it 2 or 3 times in the first half an hour if you do
Because
that.
everyone's going to Rise of Resistance.
Everybody's going to Rise of Resistance. So
when the park opens.
yeah, the line is the longest. Believe me. At the beginning,
Larry, you've never seen lines like this.
because if the Disney people go in early, they get a half an hour start on you, and they line up for Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah.
By the time you get there, if you're not in a Disney hotel, it's already an hour or 2 hour wait.
Yeah.
By the time we got there, by the time we walked to it, it's at an hour and 20 minutes or 120 minutes. So no need to hurry at that point.
Yeah.
So if you can't get on it by paying for it, if you're comfortable waiting, you can wait later in the day. It's going to be 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right then, go ride Smuggler's Run because that queue will go up to an hour or more if you wait.
Yeah.
Get some blue milk. Take some pictures. Kylo's
Ronto
hanging
wraps.
out there. Get the Ronto wrap.
Ronto wraps are good.
Yeah.
Savvy's Workshop for sure. But, yeah, it's awesome.
Also, just I would say one of my favorite things when we went too was just enjoy the experience of also just walking around Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Like that in itself.
Just the environment.
an
Hopefully they'll open up
experience.
the COVID stuff because everybody was off limits.
Really?
Like Ray and Chewie were up on top of this balcony.
Okay.
We couldn't actually see them. We went 3 years ago. We ushered in COVID. We were there at the beginning of that. Ray was walking around. Chewie was walking
Yeah.
around. Stormtroopers were walking around. We didn't see
Yeah.
any of that. They were up on stages or
Gotcha.
up behind things. But you're
Yeah.
right. If you can, man,
Just
it
look
might already
around,
be
like,
lightened
Yeah,
up.
just enjoy the environment. It really feels embracive. Like just walking around Galaxy's Edge, you can just
Yeah.
look at the walls, the artwork, the weathering of the buildings. You can see blaster marks on buildings and
cool.
walls. Just walking around, you can hear the sound from Smuggler's Run ride. You can hear the Falcon like flying over, and you're just like
Yeah.
walking. You're
There's
like
a
looking
full,
over your head. Like,
there's a
what's
full
going on?
full-size Millennium Falcon right there. You
Yeah.
can see.
Yeah.
I
Um,
would say
That's
just
awesome.
the
just
Poe's
buy in.
X-wing is around the corner.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Just fully buy in. If people are passing you, say Bright Suns, and it'll just make the experience really, really neat to just go all out. It was cool.
When we went there, they warned me about asking about lightsabers, and I forgot.
Yeah.
And I went to this place because everything in Galaxy's Edge is written in Star Wars language, so you can't even read it.
And there's an app
You
actually
can't-
you can decode a lot of stuff that you can play while you're there too.
So don't expect to walk in and see a sign that says Savvy's Workshop because it's
Yeah.
not supposed to be known. You don't know where it
It's
is.
a
We
secret
couldn't
you
place,
gotta,
find
you
it.
gotta ask around. We had to ask.
We
around.
had to
First
ask
Order
around.
reigns here. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
right. So we went to there was a shop close by, and I asked about making lightsabers, and it said, "Don't say that. People frown upon that. The First Order is listening.
Yeah.
Are you asking about what did he call
Scrap
it?
metal.
Scrap
You're
metal.
asking about scrap metal." I was like, "Oh yeah, scrap metal. That's what I'm asking for."
Oh, the scrap metal.
And they
yeah.
pointed us in a direction that he said they may be able to help you, and so
Yeah.
yeah, embrace it.
But it really is like there's not a sign. There's not. It's just kind of low key. They'll
Mhm.
direct you where you need to go, but ask around. It's
Very cool. You can also build a droid. If that's your thing.
Yeah,
Droid
Droid
So
Depot.
at the Droid Depot,
Yeah.
which is cool. Yeah.
There's
Very
a lot of
fun.
robots
I feel like
around.
It's a
I feel like
blast.
Pelimoto would be in there a lot. I think Pelly would be
yeah.
in the Droid Depot.
For
If
sure.
If she went to Galaxy's Edge, she'd be in there with some gonk droids just
They
doing
may
her
be
thing.
updating cast too if they're
Yeah,
if
true.
the COVID stuff gets lifted.
True.
They're probably going to add Mando stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it is fun too, but still.
Yeah.
It's got to be only a matter
in
of
and out.
time before it expands. Where Mando is such a big
Yeah.
hit.
Thing
The
right now,
Mandalorian character is such a huge hit that
We saw tons of Mando
It'd be
stuff,
weird,
Grogu
like,
stuff in the stores.
5 or 6
Yeah.
years from now to just be stuck in that time period of pre-Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's a great time period, but like, okay, but we know what happens to Kylo. We know what happens with the First Order. It would be weird if they just always stay in that, which I don't see that.
We actually had
happening.
an idea for Galaxy's Edge, which I think would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Where they're going to do this with the MCU campus, right?
Sure.
That's
Oh,
coming.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they do Galaxy's Edge, but they expand it out to where they move into the different
Time
times
period.
of Star Wars,
Like prequels,
Be awesome.
sequels.
where you can
Be so
walk from
cool.
Galaxy's Edge to like
Mm.
the prequel, High Republic.
Mustafar.
You can go to different times. So they thought my kids were talking about, what about planets? And I was like, well, what about times? Because then
Yeah.
you go into the time, and then you can embrace all of the different stuff. You can
Yeah, true.
you could have a ride of the snow speeders on Hoth in that time, or you could experience the walking through the Death Star on a ride.
See,
There
the
you-
Take down
Ewoks
some
on-
AT-ATs and circle around.
absolutely, you could do a Sith lightsaber build back with
Temple.
Be awesome.
Jedi Temple, all
Yeah.
that stuff. So I think at some point as they expand out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be neat.
that would be, because I could see going way
Yeah.
beyond what we have now. It'd be awesome.
Right. And I don't know how much merchandise or if you plan on getting anything, but check out the what's the legacy shop called too?
I can't
remember?
Can't remember when it's come.
Are you talking about the
There's a shop
the
with
legacy
all the
sabers?
all the legacy sabers,
yeah,
holocrons.
yeah.
That's a really neat
It's
place.
right around the
There's
corner from
robes, there's-
Savvy's. You
Yes.
go up and
Yep,
down.
it's right by Savvy's, and
I forget what it's called.
check
Great
that out
variety
too.
in
That's
there.
great. So that's where you'll get like all your actual like character.
Is that where the Kyber
scale.
crystals are too?
Kyber crystals,
Yeah.
yeah. So there'll be like actual characters from Star Wars. You can get their legacy sabers: Mace Windu, Count Dooku, Darth Vader,
Ahsoka.
You can get all their sabers there. But then the Savvy's workshop will be where you build your own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very fun.
it's
Hope
a
that
great
helps.
Great trip.
experience.
Yeah.
Have a
Yeah.
blast.
But get on those
Enjoy it.
reservations as
Take
quick as
take
you can.
pictures and send us what you did.
Yeah.
We'd love to
Yes.
see.
Tag us,
Love to see
in
it.
some photos on
Yep.
Instagram. We'd
Yep.
love to.
Yep.
We'd love to see it.
It superimposed just Uncle in the background of all of them. Like, it's like, here's us, and this is, hey, and it's just on his t-shirt. You know him well.
You know, well,
I can't wait till
that
that
could be
merch
one of
comes
our
out.
you know, well.
Merchandise.
Has to
Yeah.
be. You know
That'd
him
be
well.
great.
I love it.
All right. Well,
Where can they
Are
find
we gonna
us?
go out with our theme song, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I think
we'll
we
do it.
have to.
we'll do it.
That's a terrible idea. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Oh, as always, you guys can find us on Instagram, and I know we said it last week, but our new Instagram handle, we changed it a little bit. It is now at Star Wars Guys Pod. Star Wars Guys Pod on Instagram.
On TikTok,
Ooh.
too, now.
Is that the
and
second
on
change?
TikTok. And on
I gotta
TikTok.
keep up
So
with this stuff.
Star Wars Guys Pod is the new handle. There's no underscore and stuff anymore. Just Star Wars Guys Pod on Instagram. On
It's a little easier to find
on
us.
TikTok, a little easier to find us. Plus, all that stuff is in the description of this video. You can find all of our links to everything. And if you're watching this back or you're on the road, you can also listen to the audio format on any podcast listening platform. So, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for going on this journey, this week-to-week episode review of the Book of Boba Fett. So we appreciate it, and let us know what stuff you want us to cover moving forward as we continue our Star Wars Guys podcast between Obi-Wan or Bad Batch, whenever the
lot
next
more
show's
coming.
coming. Let us know what Star Wars topics, characters, ideas you want us to cover to make episodes on, and we'd love to address those and make episodes on them. So, as always, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it, and may the Force be with you.
Get to the bubble part.
I'm sure this is playing great for our audio only crowd right now too. This is great.